Deep in an underground secret Pacific Island lair, Pop Culture Minefield presents Saturday Morning Funtime. This is the Comic Relief Crusader telling you to get your morning cereal ready, because here we go.
Finger licking good.
You're creature of the night, Michael. Just like out of a comic book. You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
Go it! Wolfman's got nards.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
Oops, I gotta remove the logo. At my last, Jerry Dandridge, man, is like one of the greatest vampires in the history of vampire movies. No shit, man. That was Fright Night. And there was the vampire scene I wanted to add where Dracula calls the little girl a bitch. I wanted to add that one, but god damn it, I love that scene when the kid kicks the Wolfman in the nards. I mean, tell me that's not a fucking classic horror movie from the 80s moment.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So anyway, good morning. It's Saturday morning. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday so far. It's Saturday morning fun time. And I've not heard. Has anybody heard from Mike Lorber? I've not heard from him in a while, and I'm hoping he's okay. I saw he started streaming again. Anybody?
I haven't heard. Sorry, I haven't.
I'm going to have to check on him today. Take a moment to talk to him. And but I want to welcome everybody. And Keith is, of course, here for his new segment that begins this Saturday. And I'm hoping we're going to talk about it both Friday and Saturday. It's up to Keith. At the beginning of every show, we're going to do Keith's you can call it Hollywood update or weekend update, but it's going to be this wonderful black man giving you the latest news and information about what's been going on this week. And Keith, tell me, what's been going on this week?
He looks so thrilled.
Actually, what's been going on is just...
You're up that high, man. I wouldn't be excited either.
Look, a majority of what's been going on are people reacting to that savage news from Sunday.
The Rock. Is that the one you're talking about?
Not quite.
No, I thought you were going to go on to what The Rock did. No, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Bob Chapek losing his job and having the return of Bob Iger.
Yeah, once again, didn't somebody predict that?
Somebody did. Somebody did.
Who was it? Who was that guy that talked about it so often saying, that's what he's going to do? He wants his job back. He was, I guarantee you, he was in there doing that shit, pushing to get Chapek fired so he could get his old job back. Because once I started seeing things happening, I'm like, oh, Chapek's behind some of it. Iger's behind that shit. But yeah, go ahead, dude.
Well, like I said, this has been major talk because it's going to have an effect on how we enjoy everything, especially now, between now and the end of the year. Okay. So first of all, I want to shout out to Gary at Nerdrotic because he had pointed out an article from a year ago that I think really should be the guide for how we look at what is coming. Okay. Now, Gary had pointed out a article from from Alyssa Myers and Sarah Shivernuk, okay, who had put together an article titled, "Is Gen Z Too Cool for Marvel?" Just 9% of Marvel fans identify as part of the generation that they've been going after, which is Gen Z. So for those of you who have been paying attention, this is a problem. It's a major problem. It is the reason why, as an example, Marvel and a lot of their woke people have been doing all of this. It's the reason why Star Wars was changed, why Luke and Han had to be sacrificed, because they were going for this new audience. And it's the audience that has barely showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, this article states that, let's see, here we go. Marvel's next phase. This story is a part of a 9-part series about the future of Disney and the entertainment industry. And as it starts at the beginning, some consumers claim they're getting sick of superheroes. But the lion's share of Americans still say they're fans, according to new data from Morning Consult. However, exactly how these fans exercise their fandom varies widely depending on their generation. 68% of U.S. adults identify themselves as casual or avid fans of superheroes in general. Roughly the same share, 67%, said that they're fans of movies and TV shows from the Marvel franchise in particular. Americans are slightly less enthusiastic about content from the DC franchise, but a healthy majority, 64%, still said they're fans of DC movies and shows. Millennials, meanwhile, continue to be the driving force behind Marvel's success, but Gen Zers account for a much smaller portion of Marvel's fan base. Perhaps a sign the company will have to adjust how it markets its heroes moving forward. Okay? So they provide a graph, which I was unable to get in time, but I do have the breakdown of the graph and what it means. First, Marvel fans are slightly more likely to be male, 53%, than female, 47%. The demographic is also overwhelmingly white, while 18% of fans are Hispanic and 13% are black. Fans of Marvel Comics, films, or TV shows are most likely to be millennials, 40%. Roughly 1/4 of the Marvel fan base are baby boomers and Gen Xers, while Gen Zers account for just 9% of Marvel fans. 9%. Problematic. More than half, 55% of Marvel fans have a household income, of less than $50,000 a year. They're slightly more likely to live in suburban areas, 42%, than urban, 34%, or rural, 25%. Among political identifications, Marvel fans are most likely to be Democrats at 41%, ahead of Independents 33%, and Republicans 27%. Millennials are by far most engaged with superhero fandom. Okay? The numbers for that graph break down like this. Despite slowly increasing superhero fatigue, 44% of Americans said they watch superhero movies at least once a month. The share who turn on a superhero movie at least once a month increases to 61% when considering only self-identified Marvel fans. 66% of millennials said they watch superhero films with the same frequency. Superhero TV shows, which began in the 1950s with the Adventures of Superman, and are now common on network television and streaming services, are roughly as popular as superhero movies. 42% of adults said they watch superhero TV shows at least once a month, including 58% of Marvel fans and 60% of millennials. Comic books are less popular among the general public, 22% of whom said they read comics at least once a month. Again, millennials are driving interest in this activity. 39% said they read comics at least once a month, and 1 in 3 said they buy comic-related merchandise that often. This is not the picture that we were told for a long time, even prior to COVID, as to what was going on. Okay?
Yeah.
Many people within the comic book industry tried to tell you that things were fine for the longest time. And people like Gary Cassell and others were saying, hey, this is screwed up. The numbers aren't making any sense, and nobody's really buying. But hey, we were told, you guys are overreacting.
Well, you also have to include in there before the complete collapse of the comic industry, you had the one single major distributor using mafia tactics, enforcing mom and pop operations to buy books. If they wanted the titles that they wanted, they also had to purchase other books.
You're talking about Diamond?
Of course I am, yeah. And Diamond, that cocksucker used absolute mob tactics and forced mom and pop operations to waste their money on comics they couldn't resell. They couldn't sell them, but they were forced to pay for them. This created a false narrative that those titles were selling, right? But they're not. This is how Diamond lied and created a big inflated lie that caused the failing of the industry, because those titles were shit. They were garbage. Nobody wanted them. But because DC and Marvel and others were getting money, they got the false confidence that, these comic titles are selling, even though they knew that Diamond was doing this shit and that the comic stores couldn't sell them. And worse than that, they were being forced to eat it because they couldn't return the titles if they didn't sell.
Used to be that when you received a bunch of books you would order,
which is still the rule of thumb in publishing.
You would sell what you could, and what you couldn't, you'd be able to ship back.
And you'd be
it hasn't been like that it hasn't been like that for a while. And a part of that
not in the comic industry, but the publishing industry still does.
Well, yeah, regular publishing industry.
And comics stopped doing it in the 90s, and this was under the control of that asshole at Diamond Comics.
Well, they also do those gimmicks where, like, I got to order, like 100 of, Superman, 50 to get a variant, or I got to order like 600 to get a different variant.
This falls under the auspices of what I just talked about.
Yeah.
You're just repeating what I said, but just going more. Keith, get back to it, man.
Sorry.
This is your segment.
Yeah.
No.
Well, in breaking down the rest of what I was saying, this entire article was published December 6th of 2021. Okay, so this is before everything that we saw this year. Okay, this is what was put out there, and what many industry insiders, and a lot of the Disney people that have been checking this knew this before this article came out. And they went ahead and did what they did over the course of this year with all of the films and all of the Disney Plus shows that they put out. They're doing this anyway. A year ago, they were in the midst of production for Wakanda Forever. So with this information, they went ahead and made that movie and all the changes that they did.
Right.
Okay. So the article in and of itself, I will make available to everyone so that you can all read it for yourselves. Trust me, it's interesting when you cross-reference this with everything that we've been talking about over the course of the last year. And given all of the changes that have now happened, especially at Disney, we see now that they are not making the kind of money that they were really aiming to make. All of the changes that they made with Star Wars, with the MCU, now known as the MCU, and Pixar, were all aimed directly at Gen Z. And to say that it is failing is an upgrade from what has actually been happening.
So they're basically being dumbasses and going after the wrong market segment. Okay, I was wondering about that.
That is a market where they're guaranteed to make money. They go after that one.
They go after the TikTok bonehead, dumb shit, sons, bitches, morons. I hate Gen Z as much as I don't know what my kids fall under, but I'm not raising them anywhere near the Gen Z level type bullshit that we're dealing with them dumb shits.
Yeah, and I want to point out before we move on to the next part of the segment, Keith, that and I said this, even though I did predict that Iger was coming back like several times, that man,
That sock cucker.
he's the one who started all this.
Mhm.
He hired all
Yep.
these assholes that has been causing all the fucking problems.
Mhm.
But then again, maybe he's the one that can fix it. He started it. He should fix it. I got to tell you, I have no faith in this guy.
They are
No.
None.
they are betting a lot of money that he can fix this. Okay,
Yeah.
look, the only person now who's good is Bob Chapek, because now he doesn't have to worry about people, bad mouthing him anymore. They will probably, but
Oh yeah.
he got paid.
You bet your ass he got paid. There's no way he'd let that go without getting every single dollar that was guaranteed in that contract.
I
and everything
have
else,
no
so.
doubt that Kennedy, Iger, and others there were all helping to cause Chapek problems.
Yeah,
I believe, and I said it a while back, that Iger is working this system to get himself back into that seat. Because there's no way he's going to be president, because I know he had eyes on wanting to be president too, not just Chapek.
Well, it's like sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's like a corporate Game of Thrones you have going on there, except there's no bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you know
Their
of.
bodies
Yeah.
are just being hidden from the public view.
Well, the other, I still stick with my theory that part of the reason why everything happened so fast a week ago, because all of the information that they've had. It's not like something, it's not like this has been a surprise. They've known all of this stuff, but something happened pretty much a week ago today. Because that's part of what I've heard, is that a lot of the machinations that went into making that change Sunday happened Saturday. Okay? So I think that there is someone or an organization or a particular country that might be interested in basically a hostile takeover of Disney.
Could it be
The
China?
big shock that I discovered this weekend was, did you know George Lucas had been offered the job years ago?
Really?
Yeah, he was talking about an interview, and I'm like, he got offered the chance to take over Disney, and he turned it down because of Lucasfilm.
Wow.
So what did you just send me, Keith? Is this important to the next part?
No. This is the entirety of what I am talking about.
Oh,
because it
that thing. Okay.
crosses over into everything that we've been saying.
I'm just going to show it real quick.
Yeah.
It's got the graph on there that you can check out as part of the story. It's got, in fact, multiple graphs and breakdowns. But
people like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But basically, the generation that they're going after are pretty much ate up with anime and manga. It's the reason why it's so big with them. They have almost no interest.
Oh my god! That Gen Z 9% is so pathetic.
See,
Yeah.
and with all of the work that they've done, look, Kathleen Kennedy, if I were running Disney and she had come to me saying that we should aim everything at Gen Z, seeing that would get you fired as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
There is a lot of money, time, and effort, and 3 movies that we've wasted a lot of money on, and that's what we're getting out of it? 9%? No, you gone. You are so gone. So this is it. These are the people that we're dealing with. And I think the money people are the real ones that are behind the scenes going, okay, Sparky, sit the F down. We got to fix this and fix it now.
Yeah, they do need to fix it. But will
Holy
they?
shit!
Look at that.
Millennials are fucking kicking it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. U.S. adults is basically almost even with Gen Xers, which is our group, Keith. Baby boomers, 22%. That surprises me. I think it's because they're dying.
Yeah.
66% is millennials. That's like my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
How many Gen Xers actually bothered to respond?
Well, this is the thing, and this is the skewing that we have in, because I absolutely know that the number of Republicans is higher, conservatives. They shouldn't say Republicans or Democrats. They should say liberal or conservative, because the number of conservative comic book readers is exceptionally high.
Right.
But I'm not a Republican, nor would I ever be. Well, I was once, just so I could get rid of that asshole down in Phoenix. And then he died, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I was one of the people that became a Republican just so I could get him voted out. Because in Arizona, you cannot vote for, what do they call that? The primaries. You cannot vote
Closed primary.
Closed primaries. You have to be of that party. So I was like, oh my God, I got it the first time in my life. But that's fascinating, Keith. Holy shit.
I mean, it changes everything. And again, I remember saying from day one that we started all of this, that in the end, what my dad taught me in the beginning about business is never, ever F with the money. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's bad business to do that. And I don't know what they were rolling the dice on that. It's like, I don't know. That's like writing, going to a horse races and reading who the sure bets are, and then, betting on the fat pony that's never won a race in its life.
Mm-hmm.
It's younger. I'm going to bet because it's younger. No, that's dumb. It's fat. Mm-hmm. But anyway, anything else?
Oh, well, I was just going to end it all by saying the changes that have been made in the Disney parks to Galaxy's Edge, all of the work done on all of the Star Wars films that have been made up to now. Literally everything about Phase 4. Phase 4 was pretty much about bringing in Gen Z. And if not for Spider-Man, and Disney Plus right there. So seriously, I'm not seeing really how Bob Iger can basically reverse a lot of the stuff that Chapek was doing.
Yeah,
in fact, according to
I have no faith in that fucker.
According to at least Gary from Nerdrotic, it's looking more and more like Iger's coming in and he's doing his own version of what Chapek was doing already, which is, oh, sorry, can't help you. A lot of the things that Chapek started, I can't undo right now. So I guess we'll have to go through with a lot of these layoffs.
Oh, that bastard.
Well, something's got to give, dude. I'm serious. Yeah. Something has to give. You cannot lose that fucking much money. Mm-hmm. And people trying to, I get into you've been there with me, Keith, with these arguments with like our I hate saying it, but he's an ex-friend. That one kid, his initials are TA. Would get so angry at you and me because we're explaining things. And it's like, well, in my mind, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, well, you're an idiot. I can't help you when you're an idiot. It's like, this is how the real world works. Mm-hmm. You cannot keep dipping into the well and have that well there. If years go by and it's been over a fucking decade, they've been dipping into this well
and betting that they were going to win all these.
Well, eventually, if you keep betting on black, you'll win. But they weren't betting. Always bet on black. I do.
Well, if I may interject as a Gen Xer like you guys are, I haven't really bought a comic in probably a year now. And one of the reasons why, and even then, the comic I got was kind of a reprint of a previous one.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't is obviously the new comics, they stink. I'm a DC guy myself. I was never a big Marvel guy, but there was Marvel titles I did like. And they're so expensive now. I would love to see the comics go back to how they were in the 80s and all that.
They got to change the printing. They have to change the printing.
Exactly.
They got to use a less expensive paper and go back to the classic printing.
That's what I said.
I'm not saying go back to newsprint, But there is an upgrade. There is glossy and better quality newsprint. And they could be going to that. It's a lot cheaper. The printing process, they keep wanting to go to this high grade printing for every fucking comic. When everybody knows, I learned this working at IDW, that comics haven't been financially lucrative since 72, 74. At that point, they began to just break even with them. The only way comic book publishers could make money was through merchandising, licensing, and that's where they would make their money, merchandising and licensing. And I got to tell you, man, somewhere in the 90s, there was this movement towards we need to make comics better quality, and somehow that'll bring more people in. Everything else failed. Why would they think that? And instead of just running it for a short period of time, Diamond made that, and I'm talking again about that fucking mobster that destroyed the comic industry. He's the one who pushed for this higher quality. And why the publishers fell for that shit, I'll never know. It makes no sense. Making the product more expensive to produce gave them nothing. But he started creating that false fluffing of the pillow by forcing comic book stores to pay for titles that they didn't want, that more likely knew wouldn't sell, because comic stores know their clientele. And they're being forced to buy these titles. I'm serious, dude. This guy needs to be taken out like Mussolini. I swear to God, Diamond Comics, man, what a piece of shit that guy is. But I'm not taking the blame away from DC and Marvel.
No,
I'm not going to take it away from Dark Horse or fucking IDW. All the major publishers knew better. Tom Waltz, senior writer for IDW, he's the one who instructed and educated me on how the comic industry failed and how they required all this stuff to happen and ignored their own history, ignored it completely. And we know that the history of publishing is replete with them trying new things. The 80s cost them, me as a comic buyer, because they did the, what did they do? The multi-cover and the push towards epic stories like Secret Wars and making you buy the shittiest fucking comics that weren't selling in order to push that. And once I realized what DC and Marvel were doing, I stopped reading comics. Anime guy, Brandon, what is this?
This is just an example of polling. Little discussion I was having on the side there. Yeah. Typically when you got polling, most polling firms will not go above 2,000. Costs of it get very expensive. Now, if you want the most accurate with the least amount of variation or potential, what's the word? The spread or the amount of difference that they could have in there, then you start going to the 10 or 20,000. But you typically don't see any polling of any kind for any subject that goes above 1,000 to 2,000. If you look at here, this was the last thing from RCP regarding mashed potato for Brains' favorability rating. These last ones, they're all within that range of either about 1,000 to about 2,000. So that's the most common range. And depending upon the methodology that's used, they could have either, a potential differential. If you can get it down to about 3, you're doing real good. And typically if you get your differential to about 3, then they have about a 95 to 96% faith in the actual work they've done. So getting more than 2,000 just costs a ton of money to do. And most places when they're doing a poll, as I said, 2,000 is kind of out there. Most of the polls out there are closer to 1,000.
On that, dude, because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I didn't expect you to keep going. So I wanted to tell you to zoom in so people could see it. It's harder to see because it's so small.
Yeah, let me see here if I can.
There's a button. So you can do it that way. That's that. Oh, now it's art with Brandon.
Oh yeah.
So, Gary, now's a bad time to say one of my closest friends is really good friends with Steve.
Cheppy.
That's probably not Not a bonus.
There we go. So yeah, most polling firms.
Do not tell your friend to watch me; he'll get angry.
This amount right here is closer to the average as opposed to this.
Yeah.
So
And it's also where they do their polling too.
God.
exactly.
Fucking Pat.
So it wouldn't surprise me that they're having problems getting the Gen Z data because most of the Gen Zs won't answer their phone.
Won't
Or
even answer the question. They're always on their devices. It's ridiculous. I just look, man. Why do I rant about this? Keith knows why. It's because that guy destroyed lives.
A lot of our friends went out of business. I'm sorry
your friend likes him and knows him. I'm sorry.
Well,
man.
I mean, it's mostly
it
because
doesn't forgive him of what he fucking did. He destroyed an industry.
Oh no, he did. And I agree. And I've actually talked to Sagar about this, but Sagar they're such good friends because he made him a shit ton of money because he did a bunch of. He's a lawyer, so he did a bunch of stuff.
You know what? That's fine.
God bless him for doing that.
Yeah. But the thing is that when people lose their livelihoods, some people started secondary businesses after they retired. They went for a dream that they had, and for certain people,
and we have friends who were like that. They lost their jobs, they lost their companies over this shit.
My buddy Brian, he owns the largest comic book shop in Nevada, and the best thing that happened to him is basically the breakup of not having to be beholden to just Diamond. The only downside to it is he used to get all of his stuff at once, like on his pallets, like once every Tuesday. But now he gets like several different deliveries, but he's like, it's a small price to pay for the freedom I have now.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I guarantee you, he will tell you though that he doesn't have to worry about ripped books, mangled books.
Oh no, he can send them back now. Yeah,
that's what Diamond was doing a lot of. And when DC decided to go with someone else, one of the things I heard outside of darn DC went ahead and they're messing me up, but they at least like the fact that hey, none of the books are ripped, none of the books are mangled.
DC uses Penguin now, right? Is that right?
Yeah. And then Marvel came around and did their own thing again. Look, there are no innocent people in a lot of this. The ones heading Marvel, DC, IDW, Image,
they're all complicit.
They are complicit in this. But Diamond was the one that set how this went. And
they were when you go into the you see them in movies, mob meetings, you've got all these mobsters. But then there's the Godfather, and that was Diamond Comics, and they went along with him, man. I'm serious. When I make that comparison to the mob, I mean it.
You know what's funny is he kind of looks like a mobster too.
Well, he is. I think he's Sicilian. I probably shouldn't be talking shit about him. He'll get me whacked. Hey, you want me to whack a guy, off a guy, whack off a guy?
He knows a guy.
Phrasing.
He knows a guy. I know a guy. I'll tell you what. Just it pops into my head just saying it. Before we get into the crux of this show, if you don't watch Michael Franzese, you're missing one of the best things. He does some of the best breakdowns. He's a former mobster, man. Knows people. He worked for Gotti. He knew all those fuckers. Came up in the mob, and then he did his time, and he became a devout Christian. Married a hell of a woman that straightened his ass out, and now he talks about this shit on YouTube. One of the best channels on YouTube is Michael Franzese. And I love watching that guy. And his review for Stallone's new series, as much as he loves Stallone, man, he's like, this show is kind of silly.
Oh, I like it. Oh, bummer.
Well, yeah. Well, what he's saying is nobody in the mob does any of the things that they show. But he also shit all over the prequel movie for the Sopranos.
Oh,
he's like, it was just dumb.
The Many Saints of Newark.
Yeah, he hated that movie. He hated that, and I think it's the same writer. He says this guy is writing about things that he should know better. Like a mobster doesn't get out of prison without meeting with his parole officer first. not the fucking mob.
Yeah.
And when he kept his mouth shut, they would not treat him that way, the way they do in the show. And then when you get down to Tulsa, I'm telling you what, right off the bat, you are not going and hassling some guy with his weed shop or a local bar. You're establishing yourself and getting to know who you're going to be working with. And then you begin to process. He says that they just go straight into things and missing so many steps and having Stallone behave as a mobster in a way that a mobster wouldn't do. So I like Franzese, but I'm still going to watch the show because I'm a big Stallone fan.
Oh man, the last episode where he gets high is fucking hilarious. Oh my god!
Don't tell me anything. I want to see this shit. Stallone is just he's a power. I know the love of my life is in the chat right now going, oh, Gary, I cannot stand him. And I'm like, I know, baby, I love you and him. I can love you both.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to break this down.
Yes, that was Keith's weekend update. Did everybody enjoy that?
It was
absolutely.
Bravo, Keith.
I really hope that what I provided to you is used in the spirit of just understanding how we got to where we are.
It was a process. It was a process.
It's a process. So,
or as one famous actor plays mobsters but isn't a tough guy in real life, I've seen things. A little bit. I guess it's time for me to say hi to the chat. I wanted to get you going first thing, man. So Bill Barkley from Scotland is here. Penny, that's Danny's mom, isn't it? Isn't that Danny's mom?
I think
somebody gave birth to you. That's amazing.
Does she admit it?
Got it
going on. Yep. Deleted Scenes is on the show and in the chat for some reason. Joe's Atmosphere. BRB. Oh no, that was Deleted Scenes. Back. Oh no, that was Deleted Scenes again. Then Alex Moore. Then The Amazing Six is here. Previously known as Sagacious and Jedi Six. She's now just Amazing Six or Six. Wolverine 626. Who borrows at least 2 6s from Six. Peter Vickman fan site. Roboting badly. Oh, again, that's Deleted Scenes. Yeah, you guys are writing in the chat. Just letting you know where I read names. Baron Ormontag, go fuck yourself. Jerry Dandridge, seriously. Motherfucker. Dragon Ruse. Anima Confusa, love of my life. New audience became no audience. Let's see. That's Shanatsky. Thank you, Shanatsky. Pat S., my good friend and producer. Gap After Dark. That's the Gap previously known as Stargate. Awesome One, who I saw jumped into the room and said my name. That was really nice of you. And I read everything everybody said early on, by the way. Zax, a.k.a. Kyle. Brett Cohen from Australia. Brett Cohen is Australian for nerd. Keely Chow. And Keely, I read what you said and I agree. In fact, I started your comments. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. Hey, Dustin is here. Keto Simple. How you doing, my friend? Lord Thoth. All hail, Lord Thoth. Is that a name, Hojo? I'm getting tired of you guys writing in there. I don't know if I'm seeing a name.
Hojo is
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a concurrent use.
Hoyo. War Monkey. And, of course, War Monkey is one of my favorite monkeys because I love war stories. And if you go to war, you want a war monkey. Parrot Head is here. Decepticons Cave of Villains. And BRB, again, by Keith. And I want to go to the Star Wars. I had 4. Bill Barkley says, Tim Beddoes, managing director of Hammer Studios, co-founder network. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Keely Chow. If Gary, AZ, and Mahler were to be under the weather on a Tuesday, the real BBC will become the real BBC for one day only, and it will be hosted by Nina Infinity on her channel. Very true, my dear. Very true. I'm starting to think that Gary is not a fan of Diamond. You're right, my friend. You're right.
Yeah, okay.
What gave that away?
Where would you get that idea from? I didn't.
Yeah. If Gary was here, he would also have to say, well, yeah, because Gary's one of the people that both Keith and I watched early on. I mean, it's true. Pop Culture Minefield is Midnight's Edge Jr. We are the illegitimate sons of Midnight's Edge. But the fact is the shows that made us were, Gary at Nerdrotic, Doomcock, for sure. I'm not, because at first I didn't know how to take him because I don't like gimmickry. Because, I'm a straightforward person. It's the same reaction I had to all the puppets, Snow and all of them. But once my ADD and my OCD mind let go of normal, I was able to adapt. And so, because I am on the spectrum, mildly, but I am on the spectrum. And puppets and fake characters bug me. I like real people. I like looking at faces and stuff. And but once I got to know and understand Doomcock and Snow and all those guys, I really love that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I love the showmanship. And more than anything, I love the fuckery that Doomcock brings to the show. He is constantly just fucking with people. And I love that. And he can hide behind that. And Steven does it too. Fat Steven.
Yep.
And I think it's really because of Fat Steven I became more accustomed and got used to people hiding behind Why am I getting a little feedback? Who is that?
Well,
I'm innocent this time.
I checked myself, and it's not me.
Here, let me.
Okay, I didn't hear it that time. Okay. Anyway, so let's move into really the crux of the show, and also mention. I hope everybody watched Brandon this morning. I didn't, buddy. I normally like to watch at least the tail end of your show before starting ours. But I didn't wake up until we were like 10 minutes to showtime.
It's all good. I had the Adega Outlaw, the Doctor of Disaster, on talking
Adega's
about
on,
his
all
book.
right.
Yeah, I had Adega, and he says hello. And we did a buyer's guide. We took a bunch of shows that people suggested, put it in the old Amazon search bar, and saw what specials are on. And some things are good priced, and other things are what to give someone when you've given everything else and you have over $1,000 just burning a hole in your pocket. Some of that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets bad. There was one of them that was almost $700 for a complete box set series, but it's also one that's out of print. And the out of print stuff is the stuff that's harder. Plus, I did a giveaway, and a channel member of mine, Mr. Dennis McCullough, won this little microphone.
Woo!
Oh.
So he's gonna be getting a nice, little nicer microphone that works with all the various gadgets and gizmos out there. From iPads are supposed to be able to work with it if you got the adapter. But I tried the mic. I like it, but there's just something about it and the way that it reproduced my voice that I just didn't like. It just didn't work for me. So I'm stuck with this piece of shit for a while.
So are you saying you're giving away your seconds? Is that what you're saying? You're giving away your seconds. It's not even a Prime thing.
Well, this little guy is $100.
Mm-hmm.
This little guy was also like $130. But the problem that I've been facing with all of this is trying to find something that works easily, and has the least amount of bullshittery going on. Mm-hmm. And as much as I like the Blue mic, I think it does a good job. It tends to not play well with certain other things. Plus, I want to start moving my gear more into the analog realm and get a decent XLR mic, and preferably, if I can, a mixer. But the mic that I want...
You're trying to get your gear moving.
Phrasing.
I'm coming out!
Phrasing. I started watching the latest season of that, and I'm laughing my ass off at it. So the next...
Isn't it good?
We'll be talking about it on next Thursday, because we got to wrap up in the first weeks of December, Vox Machina and the latest season of Archer. And I'm so happy that...
I love Archer.
My God. Well, I started to watch the new season with her, and then I realized, oh my God, she doesn't understand this show.
She hasn't seen it?
Her. She had never seen it before. So we started watching an episode, and she was sitting there, and I'm giggling and laughing, and she's like, And And I went, oh, I've got to take her back to the beginning.
Yes.
Mole hunt.
So and
To
that's
the
what we did.
beginning.
And now she's like, I love Archer. It's such a good place. That show and what I love about that show and Bob Hart's Abishola, those are programs that literally make me happy. I will just watch an episode and I feel so much better after watching them. And I'm like,
funny.
How do those shows do that? I'm like, I love that. I just love that.
Yeah.
They're insane.
Archer's
That's
a great
why.
show. Yeah, I love Archer. Been through the whole thing. Yeah, this season, even though Jessica,
we lost
Jessica
three.
lost her.
Her husband, who played the car dealer, that she ran off with. That's why I like that ending so much. They ran off together because both of them died in real life, and then of course the actor that played Woodhouse passed away.
Yeah, he passed
Which
away.
they integrated into the story too, because he died while he was in a coma, and so the first thing he does, he attends the actual funeral. But she hasn't even gotten to that weird shit yet. I'm like,
the coma years.
Oh, you
They
haven't.
were great.
I can hardly wait until she starts watching the insanity of the coma years, where each season was a specific genre, and I'm like, you have not seen anything, baby. This show goes off the fucking rails.
And that's what's great about it. They were willing to take the risks. That's a pretty big risk, changing up your formula like that.
Well, the nice thing is the formula is still there. They're thematically changing it. It's still the same thing. It's the same structure, but now it's like the 1930s. It's out in space. It's on an island, like Terry and the Pirates, and the Golden Monkey TV series.
Yeah.
That whole change up happened because Amreed got basically burned out from writing spy stuff for like 6 years straight. So it's like,
and they can't say ISIS on the show anymore.
I know. That makes me cry.
I still want there to be an episode where Archer gets hunted down because he was formerly.
Oh my God! No! That's the beginning of the most awesome part of the series, right there, baby. When the whole Miami Vice season was amazing. Her and fucking cocaine. It's oh my God, that was so insane.
Ham on coke.
Oh my God. One of my favorite cameos though is when Burt Reynolds was on.
Yes.
Because they had already done an homage to him when they went into the swamps, and that's all he talked about was Gator. Gator this and Gator that. And he mentions in the episode that it was a sequel, or that it had a sequel. I can't remember. One was a sequel. He did two movies.
Either White Lightning or
White Lightning. No, White Lightning was first, and then Gator came second.
Yeah, Gator came second. Yeah.
Yeah, and that trivia in the episode was like, yes, going after the nerds.
And I love how he basically slammed Archer for driving a girl's car.
Oh my God, yes, that was great.
So, Garrett, you think Archer was a fan of vampire movies?
You don't need to segue. I was already moving over there. Jesus Christ, Shinatsky, I gotta be in charge.
Well, one last thing I have to sit back and say: Gary fell asleep before Brandon's show. I fell asleep during the show. Just kidding, man. Just kidding.
No, I was up till 4 o'clock working, and God, man, I kept saying I got to go to bed, but I had like one more thing to finish. Finally, it was like, I'm done. I got up and advertised the show and promoted the show, and went lie down, and then I'm staring at the ceiling in the dark, going, I can't sleep. And then finally fell asleep around 4:30, I think, and woke up and did not want to get up, man. I knew that was going to happen. It's like, oh my God, my alarm. And I kept hitting snooze until it was like almost time to do the show. And I'm like, nah, better get up. Martin's probably in there going, well, is everybody? He's like Hamada at Warner Brothers. Guys?
Now I know why he keeps his hair cut short. That way he doesn't pull it out because of frustration.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give his wife or kids something to grab when he says shit to him. That's what it is. But Shinatsky is right.
I tell you a secret of mine.
And he got his ass kicked by girls in bowling. All of them. They all beat him.
Ow.
Wow.
I'm not saying that I think he sucks at bowling. I just think his daughters and his wife are amazing. But Shinatsky is right. We got to move into the vampire segment, and which is going to be pretty much probably the rest of the show, because we're not just going to be talking about the ones that are on the thumbnail. There are a lot of things. Now, the one thing I'm not going to bring up much is the parodies. I'm not a big fan of the vampire parodies, but there was one that came out that I enjoyed, oddly enjoyed, and it had Lauren Hutton in it and Jim Carrey.
Once Bitten.
Once Bitten.
I hated the Nick Cage one. It was just weird and not funny. And I would like to include it, but the one with George Hamilton as Dracula was good, but it was 79. It wasn't aired yet.
I'm glad you mentioned Once Bitten, because I was going to do that. My mom let me watch that way too young.
I enjoyed the crap out of that, and it's really funny. I've always been able to do that with my eyebrows, but then Jim Carrey did it, and I went, "Oh, he's so much better at it." He can really get those things fucking pumping up and down. I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was silly but weird, but it had some people in there that were great. Cleavon Little.
Yeah.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
And so Cleavon Little's been dead for
Well, I'm pretty much a
now.
bitch. I'm your bitch when we go out anyway. You got to buy my dinner and everything.
But he was good as kind of the Rinsfield of the.
Yeah, he was great. He was the chauffeur for Lauren Hutton. And I like Lauren Hutton because she was like me, a gap between her teeth. And she was gorgeous, man. She was a model. And by the way, if people don't know this, just like another guy that's got a gap between his teeth, Arnold Schwarzenegger, she was a big cigar smoker. She liked stogies. She was a badass, man. Lauren Hutton was hot and a badass. And Jim Carrey was just sort of, I can't even remember who played the girl, his love interest in that. And it's a love story. And I enjoyed that. It took the best elements of Dracula and turned it into this little modern comedy. But, and that's all I want to say about that one, because I'm not a big fan of vampire comedies.
We
but
don't want to talk
like,
about how, like, where they have to bite in that.
Oh, the dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that, dude. Glad you brought that up. I did. I almost, oh, that's right. Bite the dick.
I think Andy Warhol's vampire film did the same thing.
Oh, his Andy Warhol's Dracula.
Yeah.
Which was basically, it's got, what's his name? The German actor.
Klaus Kinski?
No.
Not Klaus.
Udo Kier.
Udo Kier, thank you. I worked with Udo on.
We have breach. We have a breach.
Oh, we have a breach. Oh my God. Once Bitten Cliche, it's a backdoor. Gotcha. Okay, let's get to it. I saw that Anima was like all excited by that too. I don't know what's wrong with my girlfriend.
Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. Okay. Wow.
Oh, you hadn't seen that one yet?
No, I had not seen that one yet. I've been AWOL a little bit here.
I've been looking for more and more. I actually thought there was a reference in a Prince song. And it's in, I thought it was in the song Raspberry Beret, but it's not. It's In Through the Outdoor. And I went, oh, crap. Because I was going to scarf that. But then I learned when I did the song CCR's Backdoor, you can't do it. If it's a song that's, what is it, ASCAP or whatever the union.
Oh, yeah.
ASCII.
They'll catch you with even 2 seconds of that fucking song. They'll scarf it and go, you have to pass everything. YouTube, I swear to God, look, man, we're going to radio. It will still be available on YouTube, but fuck YouTube. I'm serious. They have punished us. They have cost us numbers and money that should have gone to making this show better. And we lost it because they let anybody claim. Anybody. The claims that come for us aren't from major corporations. It's from Afghanistan, Venezuela.
What?
Yeah, it's your fault, Martin.
I told you about that, Martin. That the last claim we had was on one of my, actually, it was actually one of my songs too. It was on our show, my song. I own all the rights to all of it. Nobody else has any rights to my music. They made a claim. So I had to remove my own song.
Their system is shit.
They don't care. They don't care about creators, and they stopped a long time ago. The minute they sold out, bought into the corporate thing with studios and networks, we didn't matter anymore. So they let anybody and their cousin claim against us. But anyway, I want to get back into the vampire thing because there was another film that Keith and I both love, and we would love to see remade. No, I want to see it remade.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Because I feel that, don't get me wrong, Michael Mann, it was one of his, and that's why I took a shot at a YouTuber who, it was one of those major channels. And they were talking shit about, some of these directors shouldn't be working on horror vampire movies because they don't know anything about it. They came up doing other kinds of films. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. She took a shit on Michael Mann and the Irish guy that did The Crying Game. And I said, first of all, both of those guys, what do you call it? Breaking new teeth. They came into the business doing horror. Michael Mann's first movie was The Keep, major film. Not his first movie, but his first major film. And then the Irish guy that did The Crying Game did that classic Liam Neeson ghost comedy, the gothic ghost comedy. And I love that thing, man. That is really good. And he did another horror film too. So it's like, do your research before you talk shit about somebody. But the movie I'm talking about is The Keep, which is absolutely one of my favorite films from the 80s.
Oh, it's one of those films that when I read the book is where they should take a majority of their ideas from, because it was like Highlander is really what it was, except that it's Highlander with a horror sort of milieu about the entire thing. And The Keep really is meant to cause a little bit of a kerfuffle between friends, because I went with some friends of mine who said, you know what, if Mullazar had appeared to me and gave me that same deal, I would have considered it. Like, are you sure? This being comes to you out of the smoke and says, look, you help me out and I'll do whatever you want. I'll kill whoever you want.
Yeah. Mayfair Games in 83 made a D&D RPG module, The Keep.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And the creature effects was really incredible in the film.
Yeah.
But one of the amazing things about this film is the cast.
Oh, God.
That's great. Yeah, you've got, what's his name that would play Magneto? Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
One of his earliest roles I saw him in.
You had Scott Glenn as really the hero. And Gabriel Byrne as the evil Nazi.
Well, they were all, the rest of them were evil anyway, so.
And I love that movie. It was so well acted. The effects were like shockingly good for 83. And that creature, the body makeup, because he came out when they woke him, he was like bones and then muscle, sinuous muscle. And then as more he killed and consumed, the more his flesh would come back. And you're thinking, oh, is it going to be the classic Dracula? He's beautiful. No, he's a horrifying monolithic monster that is a great consumer of all life. And if you've never seen The Keep, you've got to go back and check that film out.
Turn out all the lights.
Yeah.
And watch it. And look, when the Nazis come rolling into that village, you start out hating all these guys. And then you get a chance to know who they are when they take over the keep. And then you notice how they have those silver crosses inlaid. And some of the Nazi guys are trying to get those out. And some of them start to take them out. And that's when, because I didn't even notice this myself when I was watching the movie, how I think it was Gabriel Byrne's character started noticing, a all of the stones for this keep are actually smaller and get bigger the closer you go in. Not like
the Doctor Who effect.
and it's like not like they were trying to keep someone out, but to keep something in.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he gets out, he starts wrecking shop with some of the Nazis and starts taking them out. You know.
Yeah. And what about the music? Tangerine Dream did the music.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, Michael Mann first hired them for the movie Thief with James Caan, and that was the movie that introduced synth to cinema.
Yep.
And he brought them back for this film, and Tangerine Dream was good. It's a great soundtrack. It's a classic film. Go see it. Go see it. Find a copy. Download it from an illegal site. I don't care. I believe that film needs to be remade with a better budget and with still equally a great cast. The film had problems.
Yes.
And it's sad, and I believe all of it was production issues. And it tanked. It was a flop. I think that they marketed it incorrectly. And I think that if that film came out today, it would make some bank.
Oh, it'd be a Netflix exclusive is what it was. I believe Netflix would instantly make that. You know.
Wow. Yeah, they cancel it though.
Which ending do you prefer?
I prefer the book ending because the book goes into more explanation as to exactly who Mulasar and the hero actually are.
Yeah, that name Mulasar sounds like it's out of an 80s fantasy movie.
Yeah, it does.
But the book goes into more detail, but it has a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
They walk away. The boy and the girl survive. Right?
Spoilers.
No. She walks away. He stays.
Oh, he stays because he's got to watch it. That's right. He's new guardian. That's right.
He's the guardian, and so he gets trapped inside with Mulasar. Yeah. So, but I think the book is good size, but it's a satisfying book when you read it. And you get more background. And the scene where in the book, the scene where Mulasar and the hero are fighting is exactly like the scene between Ramirez and Kurgan.
Ramirez.
When Kurgan finds Ramirez and Ramirez slits his throat, is able to cut his throat. What they ended up doing in that scene is like they took it almost directly out of the book The Keep.
Wow. Yeah, which, and I wouldn't doubt a bit that it was inspired by that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to move on to some more. I consider them more obscure vampire films.
Before you dive into that, I need to take off. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. You all enjoy.
Brandon, thanks for dropping in, buddy.
Well, thank you very much for having me as always. So take care, everybody.
Love you, Brandon.
Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to his channel. Brandon. Subscribe.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, my friend.
Yeah. Have a good day, Brandon.
Make sure to share the link to his channel again. The next film I want to get into is another weird one. The next two films both are weird vampire films. This one is just one of my guilty pleasures. I love this fucking movie, Life Force.
Oh,
I was wondering if you were going to count Life Force as a vampire movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You get to see Railsback about to fucking make out with Patrick Stewart. Steve Railsback, the man who played what's his name? The killer, Helter Skelter.
Charles
Manson.
He was so scary playing Manson that I hated him as an actor until he did Life Force. I didn't even want to see him on screen. He freaked me out. He looked too much like Manson. It freaked me out. But my God, he was good as the surviving astronaut who discovers an alien race out in space. They have a collision with them. And Earth has its collision with these creatures. And this story also reminds me very much of A Million Years to Earth, You remember that movie that Hammer put out in 68, 69 with
barely.
the insert aliens that came to Earth?
Mm-hmm.
And hold on a second. It was the inspiration for Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
The English professor.
That's
Quatermass.
Yeah,
Quatermass. Clearly, this film had inspiration from Quatermass and the Pit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it had such a similar feeling with the way that these aliens were going to consume Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And Railsback, of course, and that woman, what is her name? Oh my God. Matilda May is so fucking, she's still hot. She is still hot.
A lot of boob and butt in that film with her.
She has... Now, people talk about bedroom eyes, Danny,
Oh.
and I go, do you really know what bedroom eyes look like? That's bedroom eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They're the eyes that look at you. They're half sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you expect Zsa Zsa or Ava Gabor's voice to come out going, come to me, darling. Matilda is just gorgeous. And her scene when she opens her eyes the first time with Railsback, I was like, oh, fuck. You know, it is a sexy fucking movie.
Oh.
It's a creepy movie. It has some really cringy but effective scenes. One of them being when her power takes over Patrick Stewart,
mm-hmm.
who is, what is it? He runs an asylum or hospital.
Yeah. He's
and she mentally takes over his mind. And Railsback knows it's her and starts to about lay a big one on Patrick Stewart. It was like, in my opinion, should be considered the damn nearest first major Hollywood gay kiss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's effective. And I was like going, I remember in this, when I was watching in the theater going, no.
Yeah.
But I love that film. It is a classic. Your thoughts on it, guys?
I will not. Oh, sorry. Go, Keith.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not going to be ashamed to say that this film freaked me out. This film was scary to me, man. I mean, the eye candy was great.
Hi, Kylock. Keep going.
Going through that film, it was just, it was scary. I have a hard time watching it again, but I want to. And it had a great score. That score they had of that movie, it matched that. Space Vampires. If you want a scary film, watch this one.
Yeah, another movie my mother had me watch way too young, but there were titties in it, so I was appreciative.
Titties. I'm going to say that this was Cannon's chance to also make it big, and it was the film's flop, being a flop, that hurt Cannon.
Yeah.
Well, Cannon and TriStar. And do you remember
TriStar survived it sort of, but they lingered longer.
You know who did the music for this film? That's the part that surprised me.
Who was it? I forget.
Henry Mancini.
Yep.
Henry Mancini. Pink Panther theme.
Vampires from outer space.
Yeah. That's what was so amazing about the score. It's like, this is Mancini?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, here's the other queerest.
Species isn't a vampire flick, dude.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
No, it's not. The other queer selection for this is the director. And when I say queer, I mean the actual word, not the gender thing. The odd director is Toby Hooper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is mainly a British film with a few Americans. And one of them being Toby Hooper himself. But I gotta say, man, I had never experienced anything like this. This was like really a high-priced Doctor Who episode, but with a really nice
like
budget.
I said, it really seemed to have the roots made from Quatermass and the Pit.
Yes.
This felt more like Quatermass and Doctor Who.
Yes.
Well, that's and I've often wondered if it wasn't just a coincidence because it was a British production. I wondered if somebody was like, let's make Quatermass but with vampires instead of alien, vampire, alien insectoids. Because it has so many similarities, and instead of being in a subway, it'll be out in space that we find this ancient sleeping, because it is the exact same premise, but instead of on Earth, it's in space.
Well, it's based on a book called Space Vampires by Colin Wilson, and it was adapted by Dan O'Bannon and Don Jacoby, who did the adaptation, and then Toby Hooper directed. But it seemed like it's one of those situations where it's a movie that they probably could not make in America for whatever reason, and the people who were supplying the money and the budget for this film were in Britain, and it was just cheaper, and they had access to a lot of really good actors anyway. They just went over and did it, even though your visual effects were being created and handled by John Dykstra.
Yep.
And to me, it was just a nice
John Dykstra of Star Wars fame.
Yeah, it was just a nice mix of everything. And the fact that James Horner was the one who was originally asked to do the music and turned it down, and Henry Mancini, you got to remember, Mancini at this point is one of the gods of orchestral music and theme in Hollywood. By the time this movie came out, he is the equivalent of what John Williams is to us.
Right.
Okay. So for him to make this film and do the music for this movie, that is really stepping outside of what he's known for.
And it had a bit of that Horner-esque feel to it when he did the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could. Yeah, I mean, I played that theme song or the theme to that over and over again because it's just awesome and amazing. And it's I'm trying to get through my. This is Mancini, not Horner, but it has a kind of a, I don't know, what would you say, connotation or similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like. So you're talking about Life Force still, right? Because I thought I thought that was. Just going back in my memory, I would have swore that was Horner, but
no, but it was Henry Mancini working with the London Symphony Orchestra. Okay,
so it would have a different feel, but I want to point out, Mancini and Elmer Bernstein were kind of both shared the mother-father role to John Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jerry Goldsmith too.
And Jerry Goldsmith, because Jerry played with both of them. But I do want to point out, because we had an argument in there by Bill Barkley. Bill, it is a vampire story. You can say it's not all you want to. They consume.
I was wondering if you were going to reply to that.
Of course I am, because it's a silly statement. They consume and live on life force. It doesn't matter if it's blood. They're consuming something, and it kills the person when they do it. It shrivels them. It's as much a vampire as any vampire could be. I mean, one of the things I love about this series today, called What We Do in the Shadows, is they have an energy vampire in it, which is great. He just bores you to death and consumes your life force from it. Doesn't kill you, but it leaves you exhausted.
I enjoy that they kill Patrick Stewart in this movie.
That was my no. I did not enjoy that. But what I want to ask you, Gary, then. So by that rationale, the first episode of, not the pilot, but the first episode of Captain Kirk's Star Trek, the original series with the salt monster.
Yeah,
is that a vampire then?
That's what they call it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a salt vampire.
Yeah. Salt vampire. Okay.
Well, look at what is it, Captain Kronos? The vampires in there don't suck blood. They make you, basically your life force.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the movie that inspired, one of the two movies that inspired Alien, where they land on a planet of vampires. I forget the name of the film. It's an Italian produced film with American cast. And again, it's life force consumption, not blood.
Now,
there you go, Bill. In your face. It is a vampire movie.
It's not in your face. It's just he's wrong. He's wrong.
One last thing about the music. For the American version of the film, before it was released, both Michael Kamen and James Guthrie were asked to write some more music cues for the film. Now, James Guthrie was the guy who was the engineer, record producer that was used to working with Pink Floyd. And, of course, Michael Kamen.
Oh, wait, what was his name?
James Guthrie.
Well, I got to look this up. Go ahead.
And Michael Kamen, of course, he was the guy behind the
Michael
music
Kamen,
for Lethal Weapon, all the Lethal Weapon movies.
Mhm.
He did all the music for the original Highlander, it's just all this stuff about this movie as it came together. This was one of those movies that was really, I think, for a lot of people that worked on it, was a labor of love, and people really came into this and just worked their butts off. Oh, sorry, worked their backsides off. So, but one of the really cool things was that Billy Idol had been approached to offering one of the leads to the film, and he turned it down.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a big Idol fan.
Mom's always
I love
got
that.
a-
I want to
Mom's
say
always got a
hi.
bring up
We've
story
been
for me.
joined by King's Portal. Good to see you, my friend. Slasher Fred. CJ with Action Grip. Hey. Hey, remember Big Jim back in the 70s, Keith?
Yeah.
G.I. Joe with his Kung Fu grip. Kylock is here. I've already said hi to him, but I hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah,
And Kitty Bear's here, man. How you doing, dude?
G.I. Joe hands.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Action team. AT.
Yeah.
Remember that? They always had the dog tag with AT on it. That was, and I love that joke by a comedian. He says, somebody was complaining to him, why do all the little G.I. Joes look so angry? He says, hey, if you got shrunk from 12 inches down to 2, you'd be angry too.
Yeah.
I had the tower. I had the Explorer Jeep. I had all of that. I was big in.
I got the Jeep, the one I wanted, because when I was in Malaga, Spain, there was this little toy store. It was like an open mall. It was like a block, and the buildings were built separated, so there's a T in the middle, and you could walk through there and see all the shops inside. And there was a corner toy store, and in the window was a G.I. Joe scale Sherman tank.
Oh, jeez.
And I looked at that, and my dad kept going, "You're too old to be playing with those." And in my mind, I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? You're never too old to play with G.I. Joe.
No.
You're 13 years old. You should be ready to have babies." No, I want G.I. Joe.
I was still playing with my Star Wars figures at that age.
Is that what you called it? Is that what you called it, Aaron?
I was using my
Star Wars figures.
G and Joe and Star Wars action figures.
I played with my
as
Wookiee all the time.
replacement for D&D miniatures at that age.
Yeah, if you didn't hear that, I played with my Wookiee all the time too.
I was more of a Transformers He-Man kid, than these things. But
Well, yeah, you grew up a little later than us.
Don't lie, Danny. You were a GoBots guy.
oh my God!
GoBots! Robots
Speaking of
eating
GoBots,
pies.
the Marvel special you guys haven't watched yet made GoBots canon in the MCU. I popped my tits off when that happened. It was
By the way,
I was like, oh my God, GoBots are canon now. So
You
they
know
can
what?
show
You
up.
know what? GoBots are all right, but I will always be a Shogun Warriors guy.
I got to butt in here because King's Portal said something.
Godzilla and the Shogun Warriors.
I was like always this honest kid. Okay, I was a very honest kid, but I did shoplift, but I always felt bad after I did it. And what I shoplifted, 2 things, 3 Star Wars figures, and I would steal Kung Fu grip from G.I. Joe. I'd open the box and steal the Kung Fu grip. Because if you all remember, those fingers would break, and that would make me mad. And so I'd go steal new ones because I felt like it was owed to me. But then my Catholic guilt would take over, and I would go and I would slip money to the cashier when she wasn't looking to pay for what I stole. Seriously, I absolutely. And I would go to church and I confess it. I'm so sorry, I did it. I was horribly honest as a kid. But there were Star Wars figures, and the reason why I took those is I was afraid they'd be sold out before I had my money to buy them, and then so I would take them, and then I was also notorious because once I stopped doing it, I couldn't do it anymore. I felt too awful. I started hiding things. I'd find areas in the store.
Oh yeah,
where I know nobody would go to, even the workers, and I would hide them there. So I knew that they would be there when I would get paid because stealing was just not my thing. I couldn't do it. But anyway, so yeah, Kung Fu Grip, I would steal them off of the action figures in the store.
By the way, Gary, Life Force has basically the same ending as the first Star Trek movie.
It's very similar. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Good point.
By the time that film came out, yeah, of course. But you know,
That was 5 years, right? 5 years?
Mom,
Yeah,
don't
85.
Spoil stuff. Nobody's seen it in the panel yet.
No, I thought Life Force was 83. Was it 85? Was it 85?
Now-
So
Yeah,
there was
85.
7 years. It was 7
Yeah,
years.
but here's the thing: the novel came out in 1976, 3 years before Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Now, Star Trek: The
Whoa,
Motion
Brett.
Picture.
Whoa, Brett. Hold on. Let me tell you something. My dad asked me when I was young, I ever did that. And I went, no way. No way. And then, like, years later, as an adult, my dad goes, well, I was so proud of you didn't do that. I went, oh, Dad, no, I did that like 5-6 times a day. I wasn't going to tell you that.
Yeah.
And he stopped yelling at me. Goes, how many times a day? I went 5-6 times a day. He goes, what are you, a monkey?
No, it just feels too good. That's the problem.
I get why.
Okay, Petty, don't tell us anymore. Don't tell us anymore.
Spoilers. I'm going to
I don't-
watch
I
it
don't wanna
today.
know.
No spoilers.
I'm going to watch
Okay,
it
no,
after the show
no.
today.
But the butler did it.
Krampus. I see Krampus is here. Who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody? Because I didn't see Krampus
Obviously,
in the
not
list.
5 times a day.
Yeah.
Krampus, welcome, man.
Is Martine falling down on his job?
It's Monkey Jeebus. Hello, thank you. Come again. That's what my Indian girlfriend used to say to me. And
Okay.
Yeah, I've got an obscure vampire movie from the 80s.
oh wait, I want to close that one. There we go. It's closed. What was it? I need to look it up.
The Hunger.
God damn it! Shut up, John. The next fucking movie on my list is The Hunger. You cocksucker.
Sorry.
Fucking trying to
Well,
steal my thunder, you son of a bitch.
he looked over your shoulder, Gary.
Yeah.
At least he's not Morbius. Come on.
You cheating bastard. You wee cheating bastard.
Good job, John.
So if
Good
It
job.
is
that
the next
came
film.
out, if that came out in '85, that means my mom let me watch that when I was 7 or 8. That's not good parenting, Mom. I'm calling
geez.
you
No,
out.
no,
job,
good
Danny.
parenting. She
No
was
wonder you
introducing you to
turned out
good
so
horror.
well.
Danny.
Good
Look,
job, Penny.
I'll tell you
Good
what my
job.
mom told me. You got all your fingers and toes.
Yeah,
You got both your eyes.
but now I think
You're-
I understand
you're
where my
good.
obsession with
You are
boobs came
so
from.
good.
Now.
Look, that
Yeah.
sounds like kids today talking. Look, you are good.
Oh, yeah.
You're good.
I made the mistake of taking, because I read the book, The Witches of Eastwick.
Oh.
And I took my son Benjamin to it when he was 7, thinking that it was going to be the book. And I had no idea that they threw a horror scene in there when he starts rampaging near the end of the film. And my son Benjamin lost his fucking mind. And I'm covering him up going, I had no idea they would do that. Had no idea Nicholson would become this monstrous demonic thing raging around the house. And it terrified him. But then he was like pissing and moaning about it later. And this was my response to Benjamin. I went, oh, I'm sorry you died, buddy. And I didn't die, Dad. I went, oh, then you're okay. That was when I think he was like 12 when I said that to him. But The Hunger came out the same year as The Keep. It was 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Again, an amazing cast. David Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, Susan Sarandon. I'm trying to think who else was in that.
Catherine Deneuve.
There, back in the day. Oh, yeah. And Cliff Young was in it too.
Willem Dafoe's in it for like 2 seconds.
One of Willem Dafoe's earliest movies is this. He plays one of the
What
guys.
did he play? I don't remember a minute.
He's one of the teenage punks in this phone book.
You know what? This is borderline the same thing as Jeff Goldblum in the very first Death Wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa,
That's
Jeff
interesting.
Goldblum was in Death Wish?
Yeah. He was one of the.
Which
He's one of the punks.
Death Wish?
Yes.
Rich cunt is what he says. That's his like big line.
That's
in the
his
movie.
line.
Mhm. Yep.
But another actor that's in there
Damn,
that I
gotta go
enjoyed
back
seeing,
and check that.
because John Pankow is best known for his comic chops. Was in The Hunger. He played in not Rules of Engagement. What was that show called where the husband and wife, he's a filmmaker, Paul Reiser?
Mad About You.
Oh,
Mad About You.
Yeah.
He played the brother. And he was a great actor. I love that guy. And he was in this movie too.
That house was the band in the club.
Yes. Yes. Wait a minute. Who is this? No way.
What?
This is also the first major film for Christopher Heyerdahl.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Swedish actor.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Yeah, this is a classic film that
Oh, that was him. Yeah.
I got to tell you, this is an absolute confession. Now, Keith already knows this because I told him before, but you guys might not realize, as much as I recognize this film, and Tony Scott directed this fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As big a fan of Tony Scott as I am, David Bowie, pretty much the major part of the cast I love. I've never watched this movie because I was not interested in it. And I don't know why. And I'm still not interested in it, but I'm fascinated by it. And I love the TV series. And still never watched the movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's odd, Gary, because it's a very gay movie.
That's probably why.
It is.
It became, I'm just going to tell you, I had to work out my
gayness
problems with gay people, because when I found out one of my closest friends not only was gay, but was also tested positive for AIDS early on, and
ouch.
That was 84, 85. And that was when I got over all my hangups about it, which came from my dad. My dad's hangups became my hangups, and I had to relearn how I think. And I owe a lot of that to one of my oldest friends in the world, Carrie Mundy, my gay friend. It later was a false positive, and he was fine.
Oh, great.
But I love the story, though, because when I found out he's gay and that he was false positive, I didn't want to hang out with him. I was terrified of it, because this is when it was still called, it was early days, and some people were still calling it grids, and instead of AIDS. And I was so terrified, but I was more
I
terrified.
wasn't laughing at your serious subject matter. I was laughing at the comment. I wanted to clarify that because that seemed really inappropriate. Sorry.
Let him continue.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody cares, Anima, but I love you. He's Nordic. But he's a great actor. No, he is great. Thank you for pointing it out, hon. But the problem was that I didn't want to offend him. I was more afraid of offending him than I was of anything else. And so we always would get together on Sundays to watch football, and we would have Haagen-Dazs ice cream, little pints. And mine was always the same thing. I got the cherry cheesecake, or was it strawberry cheesecake? It was the cheesecake one that Haagen-Dazs put out. And I think it was strawberry cheesecake. And I would eat the crap out of that. And he reached over and grabbed my spoon from my pint and put it in his mouth, ate it, and put it back into my thing. Now, germophobia has been a thing of mine for a long time. And I absolutely had to conquer my phobia and my fear of offending him. And even knowing that he had been tested positive, he had not been shown false positive. We didn't know if you could get it through saliva at this point. I grabbed that fucking spoon and I grabbed a chunk of fucking ice cream and I shoved it into my fucking mouth and shoved it back into that ice cream and I swallowed it whole. And I was so afraid of hurting his feelings. And that was the day I conquered my thing about gay people and trying to think of them as my dad did, and my dad thought that there was something wrong with them, that they were all kitty diddlers. And it's not true. And Carrie is one of the closest, dearest, oldest friends. I love him. And I got to tell you again, pointing out the gay people in my life, family and friends, are valued members of my life, and they've enriched my life and
Well,
made it
Gary,
better.
if you
And
ever
nobody throws a
do-
fucking party like a gay man.
Gary, if you
Nobody.
ever do, you will make a wonderful homosexual. I'm just letting you know that.
Not good at it. Not good at it.
When are you coming out, Gary?
If you want to, I'll stand up now and just come out of my pants.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, please.
5 or 6 times?
No, I'm a one-shot
Only 5
guy.
times a
You're
day.
one shot.
Then I got to go to sleep. All right. So The Hunger was just a little too gay for me back in that day. And I just never watched it. I really need to go back and watch it because I really feel like I missed something special in watching that film.
Yeah, I didn't
the
watch it.
ending
I didn't
alone
see it
is
until
great.
the early 2000s.
You know who wrote the book it was based off of?
No.
Whitley Strieber.
Whitley wrote that.
Yep.
Big fan of Whitley. I
And,
follow
and
Whitley.
he was also responsible for writing the screenplay for the attempt at filming it again. And
Oh, you wanted to do a remake?
Yeah.
not a remake, a readaptation.
A
Because he wrote the
readaptation.
book.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
I know that. I shouldn't have said that.
But the thing is that this was back in 2009. By 2021, there was a new screenplay written and new producers added with Mike McGrath and Greg Berlanti.
Sad fucking day when that guy was born. So before we move on to the next one,
Damn.
Nosferatu the Vampire, welcome to the show. I have a suspicion it's one of our friends. Is Gary calling my people gay? Look, man, I'm not calling you gay. I'm calling The Hunger gay, and I'm calling the TV series that vampire is on Showtime or HBO, whatever that fucking thing, True Blood, was nothing more than R-rated gay porn. It was just all it was. And I don't mind gayish vampires, but if I want to watch gay porn, I turn gay. So don't sell it to me.
The thing about The Hunger that I enjoyed is all those topless scenes or
with Catherine Deneuve.
Yeah, well, not just Catherine Deneuve, Susan Sarandon. All those hints of topless scenes, especially that one scene where you could tell she's not wearing a bra, but she's wearing a t-shirt. It's raining outside, and well, you know.
Jason, get a hold of me and Keith, and maybe we can go see it with you.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it either, but I'm not flying out to there to go watch it with you guys.
Yeah, Gary, remember,
this
not
bridge. We have
gay
this
guys,
bridge.
gay women. It's lesbians, hot lesbians.
Yeah.
I got to say, yes, you're right. That's what I liked about the Hunger TV series it was anthological. It was a really good series, and each story. The introduction was the only connection, like Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah, Red Shoe.
And I kind of saw it as a scary version of Red Shoe, although there were a couple episodes of Red Shoe Diaries that were creepy as fuck. But good shows, man. I never got interested in True Blood. Yeah, get a hold of us, man. That'll be kind of cool. Go do an Alamo thing, but remind me to make sure I get paid because goddamn, their food's expensive. It was good, but I have never had a hamburger that cost that much money that a midget wasn't feeding to me.
Jesus Christ, man!
But we know what Schnotsky's weakness is: lesbians.
Look, I wanted to bring up Werner Herzog's Nosferatu too because I am a fan of that. But actually, as I recall, was again released before 1980. I think it was released in '79, but it had a huge impact on me. And I saw, I think it was filmed in German and in English. They would shoot the scene in German and then they would shoot the scene in English, and he edited them together, so they're very similar. But you'll notice slight differences if you watch both films. But Werner Herzog I love that film. I do. Werner Herzog is one of my favorite directors. And I love him as an actor too, to be honest. And my favorite film of him is, I've talked about it on our other show, Military, is Rescue Dawn with Christian Bale and Steve Zahn. Absolutely a heartbreaking true story that has an uplifting ending, but it is heartbreaking. It's very tragic, some of the shit that happened in there. it did indeed have two versions. Klaus Kinski is the man. Amen,
Oh,
brother.
yeah.
Amen. Big fan of Klaus Kinski, and he was a madman. He really was. And you've never watched a Werner Herzog film until you watch what was it called? My Greatest Fiend, I think was the name of it. It was the story of his relationship, which almost led to murder a couple of times between Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski, because they worked together a lot. And Klaus Kinski was absolutely deranged.
Oh.
And if you don't believe me, watch that fucking movie, My Greatest Fiend, by Klaus Kinski, by
Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog.
Klaus Kinski also is in the Dollars trilogy.
No, Rescue Dawn, Slasher Fred. Rescue Dawn.
Yeah.
For the bots that somebody killed.
Somebody did it quickly because I didn't
Great
even
job.
see him.
I have
great
this for
job.
them.
The goddamn
But
goddamn
let's see, I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay, Jason Nasferatu, I've said hi to. So let's move to our last three films. We got to squeeze these in. We might go over 2 hours. I don't like doing that. But, oh, did I say? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Hold on. Let me play the video. There we go.
Phrasing.
There we go. Also, I want to point out that I've been saying this for a long time. The minute I could start reading digital books.
I bet you like to read a lot, too.
Print is dead.
We got.
I do like to buy books every once in a while, but the fact is most of my books are either on my Nook or on my Android. And I get them from Amazon. I can read them on my computer, but I like to do it when I'm in bed, reading in bed. And well, you know that they had a strained relationship, Krampus. Because they did try to amend, their differences, but I don't think it worked. They did talk though before he died, but he absolutely abandoned his family. Him and I hate saying it, Brigitte Nelson did too. She abandoned her children to start her career in Hollywood. She was married to Stallone and still didn't bring them over. I get it. You're driven to do your art, but I think there's other driving factors here for them that wasn't healthy, that dealt with mental illness. And it's just tragic and it's sad. But there are other actors throughout history. I mean, W.C. Fields, if you ever see the film or read the book, W.C. Fields and Me.
Yeah, good movie.
It's a tough film, man. That was, what's his name? The Illustrated Man. The Waterfront. Oh, my God. Marlon Brando and this fucking actor. God.
Yeah, I see him so much. I see him in my head.
Yeah, he nailed playing W.C. Fields. Nailed it. I forgot watching the film that this wasn't W.C. Fields. He was that good in that role.
Rod Steiger. Rod Steiger.
Yeah.
Rod Steiger. Psychopath in real life. Brilliant fucking actor. It's just like the dude that Quentin got a hold of for being the head of the gang for his Reservoir Dogs. And he discovered working with him. Who was it?
Lawrence Tierney.
Oh my God, that guy was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts, man. Fucking nuts. And Quentin was like, oh my God, what did I let into the room?
He actually fired him for like a day or two, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he got sick of his shit pretty quickly. Let's get to one of the three greatest vampire films of the 80s. And I'm not going to say it is my absolute favorite because it's not, but it is one of my top three favorite. The top one will be last. And of course, that is The Lost Boys. And I love that freaking movie.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a great.
It's a good one.
Great.
The sequels are terrible.
There's sequels?
Yeah.
And a remake.
Wow.
Yeah,
I know that.
There's like 2 sequels, wasn't it?
No, you can't beat the Kiefer Sutherland, Corey Haim. I mean, come on, dude.
The saxophone guy. The saxophone guy.
Come on, man. Like that's one. You know what? I won't give my mom grief about letting me watch that too young because I watched that. That was one I watched probably like dozens of times, way too young. You know, whereas Life Force I only watched the one time with Scarred for Life, and probably ought to go back and watch it again.
Yeah,
you get scarred again.
And I got to tell you, my daughter would sneak into the hallway and hide and watch me or watch movies with me. I wouldn't know she was there. And she was watching films without my permission that I was unaware of, like Aliens. She watched The Grudge. And that one led to a funny moment because I'm watching the titles as it's fading, goes into titles, the end titles. And I hear the sound of the ghost maid sound. I hear that, and I've got surround sound in the house, and I'm like what the? And then I turned, and my daughter has got long hair, and she's standing in the hallway, silhouetted against the white wall in the dark. I could still see her, and I turned and saw her, and I went, "Oh my God!
Yourself? You shit
Do they
yourself,
teach you
just a little
CPR
bit.
in school yet? Oh my God!" Oh my God. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I'm like, how long have you been there? And she goes, I saw the whole thing. Why did she make that noise? And I went, because her neck was broken.
No, Fright Night did have a remake. I did not like the remake. But
the remake
I like the original.
It loses the parts that make it so great.
Yeah, another movie my mom let me watch way too young because that was a creepy ass movie to watch as a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid whenever it came out. But
all your fingers and toes, dude.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I got him. You're right.
2 eyes.
You guys ever see?
God damn it!
No, I don't have them.
But look, we're talking about other films. We're still supposed to be talking about Lost Boys.
Sorry.
He's right. There isn't a remake, but there's one they're working on.
Of Lost Boys?
Yeah, remake of Lost Boys.
Television series.
Yeah, it failed, and they reordered a reshoot of the pilot because it was so bad, and then nothing happened.
It's because they're changing some of the characters' sexes.
The Frog brothers are Frog sisters
now,
and it's just
they're doing other things.
Stop doing that. Stop doing
that.
Respect the original, please. And so, but
I knew my mom was going to tell that story. I knew it. Sorry.
So you had Kiefer Sutherland in it, who is amazing as the lead of the head of the Lost Boys. And then Corey Feldman nailed it. He was so good as one of the Frog brothers. Corey Haim, the two Coreys. Corey Haim nailed it with that one line when he goes, he's going to tell mom. He's like, Mom's going to kill you.
Yeah.
She finds out.
One of my favorite
great fucking moment.
I love that the way they determined if he's cool or not to deal with is they quizzed him about comic books. And it's like, these Supermans are in the wrong place. They haven't discovered red kryptonite yet. That will never happen again.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the cast. I mean, Diane Weiss is the mother. I used to have a thing for her back in those days, man. She's
you and a lot of other people.
Melf.
Yeah. You got another great one is Jason Patrick as the older brother. Had no idea he was already suffering from early baldness at that point and was wearing extensions and shit. But Jamie Gertz, man.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Where did she disappear to? She was like,
because
she was like,
the last big thing she was in was Twister, and then she did a stint on ER.
No, it wasn't the last. The last thing she was a TV series.
No, hold on. I just said the last big thing she was in.
Yeah, Twister's the last thing I remember
Twister.
her in.
And then she went to TV, and she was on ER. She was on a couple other shows, and
dude, I had such a thing for her. Yeah, what happened to her? Like, I always thought she was going to be huge.
She got married to a super rich guy.
She what?
She got married, and he's to this guy. He's like a billionaire or something.
So she didn't.
You don't need to work. You don't need to work.
No.
And there's some other great things in this thing that I love, which was a lot of people forget that Alex Winter from Bill and Ted was one of the Lost
Vampires.
Boys.
Yeah.
And Edward Herman who was the
How did people
second.
forget that he's on the cover of the DVD.
Yeah.
I think he's even in the movie.
Edward Herman, who was the second Herman Munster.
Yep.
After Fred Gwynn. And another great, Bernard Hughes, man. What a classic.
Oh, yeah.
Playing Grandpa. But I think one of the biggest things in that movie was sexy saxophonist Tim Capello.
Okay.
Because he was also in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
I have a bone to pick with that dude. You know, it's a great song.
Phrasing, my friend. Phrasing. Yeah, please.
My
thing
is this: while the guy is a great performer and a great saxophonist for Tina Turner, that song actually belongs to the Call of Oklahoma, and those guys are incredible. Their original version of that, for which Tim was remaking for that film, the only reason why he was allowed to do it was that they had wanted the Call in the movie, and they couldn't get him because they were on tour, I think, with U2. So those guys, the Call, I will continue to tell people, are one of the great bands of the 80s and 90s that you probably didn't know, but they had a lot of hits.
Well, I got to tell you, back then,
saxophone.
There are only two major films that had a great rock soundtrack that I bought. And first one being Repo Man.
Yeah.
And I've always had a copy of that album since it first came out. In fact, right now I have 3 copies of that album. And the other one is the Lost Boys soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And I've always had at least 1 or 2 copies of that one. Because what an opening song, Thou Shalt Not. I mean, God, the children choir. Creepy, beautiful song. And that is the theme of the movie, is that song. I don't care what other music was made for that film. The theme of that movie was that goddamn song.
And then they use it at the end. Then they use it at the end, and they just have the choir going, Thou shalt. And then when he dies, Thou shalt.
Yeah, you don't have the lead singer cry, little brother. You know, it's like, what a great song. Was the last, wait a second, put that back up. Was in the last episode of Reservation Dogs. I got to watch that because 2 of my American Indian friends have said it's really good, and I would enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, I don't have the vinyl anymore. I haven't had vinyl since the 90s, man. I gave up on that shit. Although I love that my daughter collects vinyl. She's gotten into it, and I bought her Frank Sinatra. I bought her, David Bowie. I bought her several albums for her to enjoy, and Peter Gabriel. Watch YouTube video of a guy that gives a score system for each Bram Stoker adaptation. No, I know the one you're talking about, Adam Dare, and he was. I felt that they were really close, but I think they missed the mark because they also included the version, but the 1979 BBC came out on top. But I actually do think that Bram Stoker's Dracula in '91, I think it hit better. I think it was truer to even in the spirit of how Bram wrote the book. I think that movie is truer to the spirit of the book. But the 1979 BBC version was good. I put that at number 2. Number 3 is the version that has it was directed by the dude from Dark Shadows and starred Jack Palance in one of the single greatest overacting vampire films I have ever seen. Nobody can overact like Jack Palance.
Yeah.
Well, his acceptance at the Academy Awards.
Doing the one-arm push-up, man. Yeah. That fucking dude was the
I'm
bomb,
sorry.
man.
Time out. Who put that on there? Why are you going to trigger me like that? Why are you going to trigger me like that? Bret Hart is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Ric Flair can't even lace his damn boots. I don't want to hear it. Meet me in the street, bro. Meet me in the street. Oh, my God.
Bret Hart will never.
It's almost like you should have a wrestling show.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Next episode. Hold on. I want to get done with the show.
One last thing I have to say about Lost Boys. It's the first time I ever saw Kiefer Sutherland that I remember. So that was my introduction to Kiefer Sutherland.
That's interesting.
Wasn't he such a badass in it too, man? Like,
Oh, yeah, he
you know,
was.
yeah.
Oh my God, he was really, in many ways, he really was one of the best parts of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
When he bites that guy on the head, the skull.
Yeah. That was
God
gnarly.
damn, man.
Oh. And the blood just
I was like,
shoots through
I
his
was in my
hair.
seat going,
Great.
oh, he's biting his skull open. Ah. But
Now,
and by
That's
the way,
my stereo.
when you learn that Herman, the sweet video store owner, is the head of the vampire cult.
spoilers.
That movie's 40 years old. Fuck off. So I got to tell you, man, when that happened, I'm really good at guessing stuff. I didn't expect it. I was
Well,
really
that's
caught
good.
off guard by that.
I
I was
tell you.
like, I liked that. I was like, oh my God, that prick. Oh my God, I like him. No. Oh. Anyway,
Come on, that's
great fucking movie.
The entire
The Lost
movie
Boys
he has a
is the
booty
greatest final line in any movie.
Yes.
Oh no, but Grandpa delivers it. It's like Santa Clarita, whatever that
Santa
wherever
Carla.
Santa Carla. Great place, but how does he say it? How does he say it?
This is
The only
the be-
thing I can never stand about
Only-
Santa Carla was
It's all the goddamn vampires. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, well, they were trying to keep it from him, and they're like, and you find out all the shit around the house. He's a fucking hunter. And that's why they needed a sequel. It never happened. And that goes to the next film, which, no, I'm not going to do this one next. I'm going to go to Fred Decker's movie, Monster Squad.
Oh, yeah, Master Squad.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking classic film.
Yeah, it is.
It's a film you can take your kids as long as they're over 9 to see.
Yeah.
It's got language in it. You know, it definitely needs to be PG-13. Anybody under 13 needs to be accompanied by an adult. I got to tell you, I love that freaking movie, Monster Squad. And it has a direct connection with Lethal Weapon. A lot of people don't know that. Keith
That
knows
was
it.
another. Shut up, King Sport Cal. Nobody asked you. Jesus. Monster Squad is a good movie. You know.
You could never do that plot line where an old man goes to a young girl and asks, "Are you a virgin?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought you were a virgin.
I love that they found a way. But hold on, you derailed it already. I said, Keith, what was the connection?
Shane Black, who actually created all the characters for Lethal Weapon,
That's right.
along with the director Fred Decker, they wrote the screenplay. And
That's right.
Decker and Black, I think, were also in the same class with Peter Hyams and Rob Cohen, who also served as executive producers for the film.
This was, if you've never watched the documentary, the making of this film called Wolfman's Got Nards, you've got to see that documentary and what went into making this film, how the close-knit everybody got, and they're still friendly with, friends with one another, get together, they go to special showings.
Now, this film was made for $12 million.
Yeah.
That is considered in the 80s independent.
Yeah.
Yep.
It only
That is
made
an independent budget.
It only made 3.8 at the box office, though.
Oh, it tanked. And that's what makes me feel so bad for this film, because it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It
Well,
was
it got
not
a big
marketed
cult-
correctly.
It got a big cult following after it came out on video, though.
Yeah.
Huge. And that's what I'm talking about. They get together and they do those shows. And they get together and talk. And I love that. I would love to go to one of those myself. Just to meet the cast and ask questions. And the documentary, if you've not seen the documentary, go watch it. Go watch it. I think it's on Amazon. Amazon Prime. Go check it out. It's so good. This film does something that I love in horror films, horror comedies, and it needs to have real horror in it.
Mm-hmm.
It throws very little camp into it. There is some tongue in cheek in it. Clearly, it's a cheeky film at moments, but the comedy is there. It's really kind of a reaction to things happening. And I love the nod to the classic Universal monsters. even though it's not a universal
Monster
film.
Squad's great. I mean, yeah.
They do this amazing job of doing a nod because they had to be careful for legal reasons how they represented each creature, because Universal has been notorious for being sue happy when it comes to the Universal monsters and how they look.
Well, I mean,
Like
not
Gilman
just
instead of
monsters.
Creature from the Black
I
Lagoon.
mean, like that's why Namor can't have his own movie. That's why Hulk can't have his own movie. Universal is very litigious. You know what I mean?
And so Universal, I guarantee you had somebody spying on them at all times during the making of this film. I guarantee you. And but they pulled it off, man. The Gill Man, you had the Frankenstein monster, and the guy who played the Frankenstein monster is Tom Noonan, man.
Yep.
And what we knew him for best at that time was the serial killer in Manhunter.
Yeah.
The first version by Michael Mann again.
Yep.
First version, which is a horror film, by the way. It's a horror thriller.
Yep.
It has horror elements in it. And Tom Noonan played the serial killer. What was his name in Red Dragon? What was it?
Geez.
Did you say what it was, Shanatsky?
The Tooth Fairy?
No. The Tooth Fairy. He hated that name. Yeah, he hated being called that. But
he was also known as Kane in RoboCop 2.
RoboCop 2. And he has one of the most tragic moments outside of Murphy's Own. When they show him in that liquid, his agony and the madness.
He has to see his own skull from the tank.
Yeah, just that I like that movie.
And then
I like him as an actor.
He was also the Ripper in Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
that's right. Crazy. Yeah, that's right. Tom Noonan
is a creepy,
great actor.
Yeah.
Well, he was always afraid that he would get stuck playing characters like that because of Manhunter, and it's kind of sad because he's really a good fucking actor.
Yeah, Wolverine. He did oh no, I'm thinking of RoboCop is when he did the nuke.
Started the nuke.
And
the nuke was injected in the neck. It wasn't ordered. It was injected.
No. That was for all the people who they were addicting to it. For his character, when they
he did snort it, right?
He did snort it, but but his character, when he became an android, when he became a robot, the main thing that helped him function were these big giant cylinders of nuke that they
he just that fool ran off that shit.
So getting back to what we're talking about, which is Monster Squad, I wanted to point out that we had Jason Hervey, who was really well known for his film and TV work as a kid actor. And then Stephen Mocht was really good as the dad. I forget who played the mother in that. Who was that?
That was her name.
Oh, there it is. She was a psychiatrist or psychologist in the Lethal Weapon films. Mary Ellen Trainor.
Yeah.
Stan Shaw was in it. Great cast, but my favorite, and this one will come up again, is John Grease. A lot of people really only know him from Napoleon Dynamite as his uncle, the weird uncle, getting too much sex uncle, who was always broke. And but I knew this guy from the 80s, man. He played Laszlo in one of my favorite comedies of all time, Real Genius. The guy living in the basement under the college.
Actually, he was also one of the cops, the new generation of cops for Running Scared, in the movie Running Scared that was taken over when they were leaving. He was supposed to be part of that new generation, and he was really good in that one too. I love.
Well, he's just a really good actor. And
I
love him as an actor. He's so likable. He's got one of those faces. It could absolutely be a real serial killer in life, and you just go right along with him, going, "Sure, man, like your face, so friendly. Oh, you're stabbing me. Oh my God, but you still look friendly. I'm confused."
One of my favorite parts of Monster Squad is that when they blow up the werewolf with the dynamite and he reforms because he has to kill the wolf.
And that's what he plays. He plays the Wolfman, but it's not the only time he did. One of the films we're going to be talking about had a sequel, not so great sequel. I don't want to say the name of the film yet, but he played the Wolfman in that one too. And
there's supposed to be a remake for this movie in 2008. Rob
only
Cohen,
if Fred Decker and Shane Black are involved.
Well, what I was going to say is executive producer Rob Cohen of this movie announced in 2008 that the rights had gone back with Paramount, and that there was a film possible remake, but he wasn't going to direct it. And
then I'm Next Generation people I'm not interested in. I like the people that worked on the original. If they're going to do it, they're going to be true to the source material.
Yeah.
And then, Michael
Bay's
Bay's
people who
production
worked
company.
on both, but okay, anyway.
Well, Michael Bay's production company then came in 2010 and tried to get something going, and they had signed Cohen, who was again the producer on the film, along with Mark and Brian Gunn, who are related to James Gunn and were the ones behind the screenplays of some of the Gunn brother films, to come in and try to put together something at that time too. And that's it.
Yeah, and I want to point out that another cast member was really good. Was I think he's German, Rieger, that played Dracula, and his hiss, fucking spot on hiss, vampire hiss. But when he calls the little girl a bitch, was a cinematic moment, never to be forgotten. And it had the sci-fi element too, because they were trying to open a rift and the bloodline for the Van Helsings. So there was almost like a what do you call it? Buffy kind of element to it.
Mm-hmm.
What?
What is this? There's a new The Last Starfighter?
Man, that shit bullshit. I call bullshit on that. They've been talking about remaking The Last Starfighter for decades.
I don't want to get
now.
distracted into that. That's for another show.
Yeah.
Write that down now, because we can't come back and start talking about all the rumors. But and then they open a rift, and of course, poor Frankenstein monster has to go through the rift. And he's like, "Bye." It's a movie that's for the family in many ways, but at the same time, it's not for little kids at all.
Right.
But the other thing that's great about that film, and they nailed it with this film, is one of the greatest genres is kids in peril movies. Because everyone can connect with it because they were a kid once. And there's nothing scarier than not being believed and being a kid trying to fight something and nobody's helping you. And this is one of those films. I love The Monster Squad. It's absolutely one of my favorites. But that leads into a scarier film, in my opinion, that was kind of horrifying, called Near Dark.
Yeah.
Catherine Bigelow.
It's like that movie had, it's like the majority of the cast was from Aliens. You had Lance Henriksen, and this is what, 87? Wasn't it 87?
Jeanette Goldstein.
87.
Yeah.
You had Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, Jeanette Goldstein. That's right. That was Hudson, Bishop, and what was her name? Vasquez. Vasquez. Anybody ever mistake you for a man? No, I say, is everybody mistaken you for one? You also had an actor, this was his big break. And you wouldn't see this guy again in a major thing until the 2000s, was Adrian Pasdar. He played in Heroes.
Yep.
And he was one of the stars of that show. Really, his career went nowhere after this. I was shocked because he was so fucking good in this. And he gets turned into a vampire by... which one was it? It was Jenny Wright. She played May, his love interest, the vampire love interest. And she was gorgeous back in the day, man. And Tim Thomerson plays his dad, doing anything and everything to save his son.
I love Tim Thomerson. He's a great actor.
Tim Thomerson's the shit. I want to interview him so bad because he was friends with somebody I knew, which when he died, I was the guy who announced it to the world, was Brian James, the actor from Blade Runner. And they were best friends, and they served in Vietnam together. And a lot of people don't know that. And Tim Thomerson was a stand-up comic for a while. And he had one of the best routines I've ever seen. He did this one on doing slow-mo Sam Peckinpah.
Oh, no.
And he'd do the sound effects and everything, and it was just fucking brilliant. I saw it on Late Night in the Improv one night, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is fucking brilliant. Gap's leaving. See you later, Gap. Thanks for
take care,
dropping
Gap.
in, man.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well, if you ever interview him, I want to be there with it because I love that guy. Transers is the bomb. So was Quark.
Well, you had a lot of people in this film that got their start here. You had James LaGrosse. I mean, that guy's had an avid career to this day, and he got to start there. Robert Winley was always known as being bearded, barley, rough-looking dudes in bars. Troy Evans, man. I'm going to pull him up here. I love this guy. He has been in so freaking much, and I just freaking love this guy.
He's a great character actor.
Yes. I'm going to go find a good image of him real quick. Just so, well, here is IMDb photo and Rotten Tomato photo. Let me open that one up. Open image in new tab. There we go. Zoom in. This guy's been in everything. And this was one of his first films. Boom, this guy.
Roger.
Yeah.
This movie also shows that sometimes it's the less spectacle stuff that is the more impressive. Because the movie has like the giant, James Cameron tanker truck explosion at the end, which is a favorite climax. But the best scene in the movie is just
she worked with Cameron.
Killing everyone.
Catherine Bigelow worked with him. So
we also have Roger Aaron Brown, who's another character actor who you've seen.
Oh,
in
yeah,
a lot of movies.
He was the Cajun truck driver.
And Teresa Randall, who was the original wife in Bad Boys for Martin Lawrence's character.
Also, from Predator, you had Gary Littlejohn in it, the big Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude, from what I've read about him, he was absolutely batshit crazy in real life too. Another one of those crazy, dangerous dudes.
They had to hire a bodyguard to protect him from other people. Other people.
Bill Paxton, Bill Paxton was somebody who was on my dad's and my radar right from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when he plays in the movie, was it My Science Project? Was that it? Or Real Science?
Real Science
as the bully big brother.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and I keyed in on him going, this guy's going to be a star one day.
Weird Science.
Weird Science. Yeah. Oingo Boingo.
He was Chet in that movie.
Yeah, he played Chet, the asshole brother that she turns into a giant booger.
No, he turns it into a giant pile of a giant turd.
Was that what it was? I thought it was
giant
a booger.
pile of
Anyway.
shit. Yeah.
Okay.
But Paxton delivers the line that's in the video I played at the beginning, where here, I'll just play it real quick again. I just fucking love that scene. He's topping off on this guy. They took over this bar and just terrifying. Everybody's terrified, not sure what to do, and how to react to these monsters that have invaded their bar, and he's like sucking down a gallon off of this last guy that he killed. And it's right here. I'm going to play it.
Finger licking good.
It wasn't enough that he burped.
Hey, Bill. He was also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. along with Adrian Pasdar. Both of them appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He was an officer. Pasdar played an officer.
Yeah, he was the general. And Bill Paxton played a mentor to one of the characters who was also a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So.
Oh, shit. My friend Allie Hanley is here. Hi, Allie. She's a Missourian like us. And Adam Dare, I think I said hi to you. I'm pretty sure I did, but just in case, hi. Welcome to the show. A lot of stuff going on in the chat. I hope you're staying on top of it because I'm not. I'm so focused on talking about these shows. But this is a great film. It's scary. It's got some comedy in it, and the comedy comes with the horror. Mm-hmm. But this one's heavier with the horror and the gore. And I'm very fond of this film.
Kind of like American Werewolf in London?
I do not think it's like no.
Okay.
I consider it different. American Werewolf in London. We should talk about this because I would like to talk about the great werewolf movies of the 80s too.
This film was cheaper than American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
And it only cost $5 million.
Mm-hmm. But I was talking about like
from the maker of Animal House comes another kind of animal. Do you remember that slug line? Yeah. That was like, from the maker of American Werewolf or from the maker of Animal House comes another kind of animal. Oh! And, not to go off on a tangent, just one last thing about that film. That film had such an impact on me. And one of the things is the use of music for making an ironic statement.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes, she's like, "I love you, David." And he's like calm, and he's a werewolf. He's feral. Mm-hmm. Then he calmly looks at her, and then and just jumps at her, and they shoot the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah. And
then it's her standing there, and he transforms back into David, laying there bloody and dead. And she's crying, and the police run up like, "What in the hell?" And it goes, "Bop bop 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 ding ding dong blue moon." And I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, what a song to end that movie on!"
Blue moon.
The Marcells, right? That was the Marcells, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god,
that soundtrack was amazing.
Oh, it's a great fucking soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
It reinvigorated CCR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With that song, Bad Moon Rising.
Yep.
But I got to tell you, man, going back to this film, it had some great moments in it. And the vampires are bad guys. You had one good vampire, like in Lost Boys. The rest of them are monsters. Lance Henriksen, all of them. May and what's his name, the star, are not. And, you get the feeling, the little boy, I felt pity for him, but he was a monster.
Caleb.
Yeah, a little kid vampire is one of the first ones to deal with that. A child vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he gets angry about it. It's like, it's not my fault that I'm 200 years old, but still a child. I haven't gone through puberty, The kid did a good job of that character.
Ripped up to me. You know what's worse than that? Listening to you complain about every night for 200 years.
Right? I know. It's just a great film. If you've never seen Near Dark and you like vampire films, watch this movie. It is a classic. The 80s made the best vampire movies as a whole when it came to modern vampire telling. And I'm almost regret that Dracula started in 89 but wasn't released until 91 because I would love to include it because I thought Bram Stoker's Dracula was sort of the nail in the coffin for vampire movies. And I did that on purpose. Yes.
Yeah, figured you did.
So next film,
my favorite count. Hey, I didn't know we were doing another film. Cece just informed me that I have prior obligations. So I've got
all right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you later. We'll talk about.
I really do need to talk to you still, though. So I'll get with you later.
Take care, Danny.
Thank you, guys.
See you, buddy.
Have a good day.
All right, last film, but not least, because this is my number one favorite vampire film of all time, and of course, that film is Fright Night.
Oh,
I would actually put Lost Boys above it, in my opinion, but.
No, I consider this. This one is better because it is a nod to Hammer.
Yeah,
that's
very much.
It is an absolute nod. I mean, the main character, the kid, Charlie Brewster is your everyday kid. Again, kids in peril. I love that. Not little kids; these are teenagers, but still kids in peril. And you got Amy. What's her name? Amy Peterson. Best known as Darcy from
Married with Children.
Married with Children. I almost said
Amanda Bierce.
Amanda Bierce.
Bierce.
And she absolutely was perfect in this film. I had a crush on her. Had no idea.
I did too.
Amazing. My favorite part of this movie.
Before I get to it, there are two actors I'm going to wait till last to mention. William Ragsdale is great as the lead actor in this. He had a Jimmy Stewart quality to him. I really liked about him. He was just likable. He was affable. And he was just every kid. And then you had Stephen Jeffries playing the part of
Evil Ed,
who is probably my opinion, one of the greatest side characters that deserved a sequel that didn't get it. And as Evil Ed, hold on. Evil Ed was a great fucking character because there was no way that the main character could fight the vampire without him because he had the knowledge. He was that horror nerd that we all knew in school. And then, of course, Roddy McDowall, who is named after two of the greatest horror actors of all time, Peter Vincent.
Yep.
Named after Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. It's not the first time or last time that was done.
No.
As nods. They did it later with The House on Haunted Hill, with Jeffrey Rush's character was named after two horror legends.
And after seeing this film with Roddy McDowall, it's like, why couldn't they get him to play the Doctor in something?
Oh, he's so fucking good. Roddy McDowall's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
But then you've got these two characters who are the heavies in the film, which is Chris Sarandon, who plays Jerry Dandridge, one of the best fucking vampires in movie history.
Oh, yeah.
And his fucking Daywalker, played hilariously by Jonathan Stark.
Yeah.
He plays Billy Cole. And he has one of the best on-screen deaths in film history, too. There's some great moments in this film that are great moments that are due to other things. And one of them is the death of Jerry Dandridge at the end of the film when they break all the windows in the basement that are painted over. And the vampire bat that he becomes in that scene, giant vampire bat, is actually a non-used ghost from Ghostbusters.
Yes.
That they were able to pull into the film and didn't have to do much work on it because their budget was really low. And this film made its money back. It is a classic. It's hilarious while at the same time has some great horror in it. Who didn't fucking jump when he wakes up in that room locked in there with her when she's changing into a vampire?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. No.
Gore alone.
Also, the scene with Evil Ed when he's in bed pretending to be mom, it's the bad wolf moment. And Peter Vincent comes in to try to save her and discovers it's actually Evil Ed. He says, but she left a note. And it starts reading the note to him. It's just so fucking, he kills this scene. He kills that scene, man. And then Peter Vincent stabs him. I don't think he even intends to do it. He just does it. It happens. And he's dying. And there's, instead of like yes, he's dead. It's like, oh, we see Evil Ed's tragic side come back as he becomes human again, as he's dying. And Peter Vincent's, his fucking acting in that scene is why Roddy McDowall is one of the greatest actors of all time. His reaction to his death that he feels for him is one of my favorite moments in a horror film.
You know,
I shit you not. What a great fucking scene.
If Star Wars had been made a decade earlier, Roddy McDowall would have definitely been C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because clearly that's who Anthony Daniels sounds like.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
But there's some
So does that robot from Black Hole. Wait a moment. Never mind.
From what?
Black Hole. Yeah.
Disney's The Black Hole.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Vincent.
Vincent, yes. Wait, no. Wasn't he the voice of Vincent?
Yeah, he was. That was a joke.
Yeah.
Shut up, Baron. Triggering my fucking 80. Anyway, Christopher Lee is in the film. People forget that because they cut to Peter Vincent, but there is a shot of Christopher Lee as Dracula in it. And it was a nod to the other thing I love about this film is the nod to the classic horror film TV host.
Yeah.
It was just brilliantly done. You know, showing how it was dying off. And he's, oh, if there were more like you, I might still have a job. And I love how he placates Ragsdale's character, Charlie. Charlie, you're so cool. Ends on that fucking line, telling you that Evil Ed survived because there's somebody in the house. And we expected a proper sequel. But instead, we get Charlie Brewster in college. We get a different girlfriend. And Evil Ed's nowhere to be seen. And we get the sister, vampire sister of Jerry Dandridge. And don't get me wrong, she was hot as fucking shit.
Oh, heck yeah.
But I was really kind of pissed at that movie for doing that. And a lot of us, because it had a lot of fans, and you heard us complain in letters to Fangoria. There was no internet. Fangoria was where we went.
Yep. It's
And
like
all of us
Star
that agreed with reading Fangoria, and there were complaints galore. Like, why did they do that? Why did they leave Evil Ed out? Evil Ed should have been the part of the sequel. He really should have been. And they did make a sequel. And in closing, I will mention it because once again, what year did that come out? 1990, right?
91. Fright Night 2.
Fright Night 2 was 88.
No, I stand corrected. It is an 80s film. So we can talk about this movie.
Yay.
This film had such a lot of love from fans coming into it. And it got a lot of hate going out because people were kind of pissed off that they didn't bring Evil Ed back. We wanted and expected. Now, I'm going to point out, we did get a comic book sequel. And I think that's right. What Keith was getting ready to allude to when I said it didn't really have a sequel or get a proper sequel. It did in comic book form. And Evil Ed did come back in the comics. I read them. I can't even remember if I liked them. Were they good, Keith?
They were all right for what they were.
Maybe that's why I just don't remember them. I felt like that's neat, but I didn't feel that it captured the mood and feel of the film. But again, in the sequel, you had Roddy McDowall back and you had William Ragsdale back. Past that, everyone else was new in the film. And you had Charlie now believing that it was all in his mind. He's seeing a therapist. His new girlfriend, played by Tracy Lind, she was kind of an up-and-comer 80s actress. I don't think she ever really did anything big.
No.
Julie Carmen really was one of the biggest names in the film outside Roddy McDowall. She was best known for some of her previous foreign work. She plays the part of Regine Dandridge. I thought that was stupid, but okay. It was either sister or wife or one of those fucking weird things. I thought it was a dumb plot point. But you did get actors. This guy was big in the 80s, was Russell Clark.
Yep.
And another dude was Brian Thompson. That dude was in everything. Star Trek, it didn't matter. X-Files. He's in everything, man. He's the big dude with the really thick voice and a big square head.
And Merritt Buttrick.
Merritt was one of the last things he did before he died.
Yes.
He did this in Star Trek Next Generation. He was one of the AIDS, HIV actors that tested positive and died.
He was Captain Kirk's son in Star Trek.
Merritt Buttrick, that's right.
And
he was only 29.
Yep. I liked him in Square Pegs.
Oh, yeah, that was a great
with
show.
Jamie Gertz.
Yeah, that was a
Jamie
great show.
Gertz were really good in that show.
And again, John Grease is in this film. He's part of the gang of vampires, but he's not a vampire. He's a werewolf. And I thought that was odd, but it was a neat character because, once again, he's kind of a tragic character. The bowling alley scene is one of my favorite scenes in the film. You remember that one, Keith? I'm not going to describe it. You need to watch the movie.
Yeah, I need to watch it again.
Yeah, it's
another big 80s actor, mostly known for comedy, is Ernie Sabella, played the therapist, who is a vampire, by the way.
Yep.
He's colluding against Charlie Brewster. And let me think, was there any other big actors? And I'm looking. I forgot one in First Fright Night. The cop in Fright Night.
Yeah, it's Art Evans.
Art Evans, man. That dude was great.
He's always good.
He has such a great scene where he gets irritated with Charlie Brewster for a false call-in.
Voiceover artist Bob Bergen, who is from St. Louis, is also in Fright Night 2, Part 2.
What did he do?
Oh, man. He was, I think, lending. Oh, geez, come on. Give me that info. Give it to me.
I will point out this. Some of the things I liked about it that were brought up in this film is running water, and what do you call it? Roses.
Yeah.
That rose blossoms and running water are dangerous to vampires. That vampires can't cross running water, and that roses can kill them.
Yeah, I love that they brought that in.
But it's not a great film, but it has some really wonderful moments. I enjoy the elevator scene. I like the bowling alley scene. It just wasn't as good as the first film. And
well, Gary, I did find out Tom Holland announced he's writing a proper sequel called Fright Night 2 Resurrection. The director, not the Marvel actor.
I'd like to see that. By the way, I saw that. Here you go.
Wrong. I'm gonna go check the back door. Back door.
The music was by Brad Fidel, who also did the music originally for Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd love to go back to that last one. I need to go look that up.
Yeah, they do. I want to get that.
I would love to have Max. And I don't know about old Bob. I thought that was a dumb character. Just too gimmicky for me. But I loved Vincent.
Oh.
Those two.
Vincent and Max were the stars of that film, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were Luke and Vader.
Yep. So, yeah, I love the movie Black Hole. I remember my dad took me to see it at the Victoria Theater in downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia, at a matinee on Saturday. Not opening night, but the next day, Saturday. So, but that's it, guys. Those are, my opinion, the best vampire films from the 80s. The top four being the last four that I mentioned. Even though I did bring up Fright Night 2, I forgot that it was in the 80s. I thought, because I could have sworn it came out when I was in the Army, but I guess I did see it before I went in the Army.
I thought you would have. Oh, sorry. I would have thought that My Best Friend's a Vampire would have been on the list with Rene Auberjonois. I know.
Love him. No.
Yeah. This blood's for you.
I would have included the George Hamilton Dracula comedy.
Yeah.
Richard Benjamin.
Fight. Yeah, he was Van Helsing. Yeah.
But it's 79, man.
I know.
So it didn't
but
make it. But I love that film. When he bites somebody that's an alcoholic, a drunk, and gets drunk off their blood, was one of my favorite moments in vampire lore. That just fucking was awesome. I love that movie. But anyway, any last thoughts on Fright Night 2 before we go?
It's a mistake that they make where the character advances to a particular thing and they're in a positive direction. Then you go to the sequel and they're like depressed or stupid, or like they didn't advance as a character. And that's the mistake they made in Fright Night.
Well, no, like I said, at the opening, you find out that he's seeing a therapist because it was all in his head, that none of it really happened. It's like, what? Every single one of us that were fans of the first film were like, what? No. No fucking way. What, Keith?
The film got nominated for 5 Saturn Awards and won 3.
Fright Night 2?
No, Fright Night itself.
Fright Night. I'm not surprised.
What got nominated for 5, won 3. One for writing, supporting actor for Roddy McDowall, and best horror film. And it missed out on best actor for Chris Sarandon and best director for Tom Holland.
Wow.
And I want to point out that when he plays the character in the vampire movie, when you see him, again, great intentional overacting. When he goes at the vampire and the stake is backwards, was one of my favorite moments in the film. He's got the stake in his hand and a hammer, and he starts walking off camera, and the stake is pointing backwards, not towards the vampire. That was fun. Great movie. All right, I want to thank Bill Barkley for being here. Penny, thank you for being here. Joe's Atmosphere. Alex Moore, 6, Wolverine 626, who borrows 2 6s from 6. The Peter Venkman fan site. Dragon Ruse. Anima Confusa, Pat S., Gap After Dark, awesome one. Zax, Brett Cowan, Keely Chow, Keto Simple, Lord Thoth, Hojo, War Monkey, Parrot Head, Decepticon's Cave of Villains, Kingsport Cal, Slasher Fred, CJ with Action Gap or Grip, great fucking name, Kylock, Kitty Bear, Krampus Jeebus, Monkey. We know it's you. You can't fake us. We know.
Yeah.
Nosferatu the Vampire. Oh wait, yes, he was in it. Jason Knight, Adam Dare, Ali Henley, a good friend of mine. Let's see, Sean Estep, Mr. CCDV was here. And I don't think 869 Evil was the reason why. I think that's what he turned to because he didn't get the sequel, and it's not a good film. And sadly, he turned to porn because he couldn't get good gigs in acting, and he made money, but I think it caused him emotional damage.
He recently returned to more mainstream movies.
Well, there was talk about him coming back for a remake or something to be in a new Fright Night, but I feel bad for him. He really, no, I don't mean this as a joke. He really got shafted by Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's not a joke because he did gay porn. I'm just saying he really did. Hollywood screwed him over, and it happens so often to young actors. So yeah. I would love Diamond Select to do some Fright Night figures. That would be fucking awesome. I would love to have a Jerry Dandridge action figure and Peter Vincent.
Yeah, Peter Vincent, definitely.
But I want to thank you guys for being here on a wonderful Saturday. It's nice here in Springfield. It's a little cold, but not too cold. You can get out and do stuff today. Go have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you for stopping by and watching our show. I want to thank my panel, Danny, John. Wait, is everybody here? Is everybody here?
Yeah.
So everybody is here. I want to thank everybody for being here, from Baron, Stephen, Shinatsky, John, and I want to thank Keith, my partner in crime, and I want to thank Martina Costa Santana.
No, I'm not
from leaving Venezuela and just to do this show.
And let's not forget Brandon.
Oh shit, that's right. See, I asked if everybody else is here. I expect you guys to respond. Brandon, that's right. Thank you so much for dropping in, buddy. If you've not subscribed to his show, please do. Have you started doing your show again, Stephen?
No, not yet. There's I don't want to say too much right now, but there might be some news
keep
about
waving,
that.
Keith. It's okay. Well, don't worry. You keep waving. No, Keith, keep waving.
Let's all wave.
Yeah.
Keith waving.
Hello.
Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. We love you. Thanks a lot. Keep an eye out. January, we go to radio. Still be on here, but the format's, a lot of it's going to change, but not in a bad way. Anyway, take care. Have a good weekend. Bye, y'all. Come back now.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com. You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
Remember, like early, like often.
Brett Cowan gave us Australia $3. That money's going down under. Thank you, Brett.
Remember, no matter where you are, there you are.
I'm not a dear friend no more? What is it?
That's all, folks.
Wow.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
I will.